Here are the names of the sons of Israel who journeyed to Egypt with Jacob, each accompanied by his household. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, along with Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, together with Benjamin, Dan and Naphtali, along with Gad and Asher. The descendants of Jacob were 70 in total, but Joseph was already in Egypt. Then Joseph died, along with all his brothers, and all that generation. The Israelites were fruitful, and increased greatly. They multiplied and grew exceedingly strong, and the land was filled with them. Now a new king arose over Egypt, who did not know of Joseph. He said to his people, "Behold, the Israelites have become too numerous and too powerful for us. Come, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply further, and in the event of war, they might join our enemies, fight against us, and leave the land." So they appointed taskmasters over them to oppress them with forced labor, and they built storage cities for Pharaoh, Pithom, and Ramesses. Yet the more they were oppressed, the more they multiplied and spread, so the Egyptians came to dread the Israelites. The Egyptians ruthlessly compelled the Israelites to labor, making their lives bitter with hard service in mortar and bricks, and all kinds of labor in the fields. All their service was imposed on them with harshness. The king of Egypt spoke to the Hebrew midwives, one of whom was named Shiphrah, and the other Puah. And he said, "When you assist the Hebrew women in childbirth and observe them on the posustur, if it is a son, you shall kill him, but if it is a daughter, she shall live." However, the midwives feared God and did not do as the king of Egypt commanded them, but let the boys live. The king of Egypt called for the midwives and asked them, "Why have you acted in this way and allowed the boys to live?" The midwives replied to Pharaoh, "Because the Hebrew women are not like the Egyptian women, they are vigorous and give birth before the midwives arrive." Therefore God was kind to the midwives, and the people multiplied and grew very strong. And because the midwives feared God, He provided them with families of their own. Then Pharaoh commanded all his people, "Every son that is born you shall cast into the Nile, but every daughter you shall let live." Now a man from the tribe of Levi went and married a Levite woman. The woman conceived and bore a son. Seeing that he was a fine child, she hid him for 3 months. When she could hide him no longer, she took a papyrus basket, coated it with tar and pitch, placed the child in it, and set it among the reeds by the nearest bank. His sisters stood at a distance to watch what would happen to him. Pharaoh's daughter came down to bathe in the Nile, and her attendants walked along the riverbank. She saw the basket among the reeds, and sent her slave girl to fetch it. Upon opening it, she saw the crying baby and felt compassion for him, saying, "This is one of the Hebrew children." Then his sister said to Pharaoh's daughter, "Shall I go and call a Hebrew woman who is nursing, to nurse the child for you?" "Go," Pharaoh's daughter replied. So the girl went and called the child's mother. Pharaoh's daughter instructed her, "Take this child and nurse him for me, and I will pay you." So the woman took the child and nursed him. When the child grew older, she brought him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. She named him Moses, saying, "I drew him out of the water." In those days, when Moses had grown up, he went out to his people and observed their hard labor, and he saw an Egyptian striking a Hebrew, one of his own people. He looked around and, seeing no one, he struck down the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. The following day, he went out and noticed 2 Hebrews in conflict. He asked the one in the wrong, "Why are you striking your fellow Hebrew?" The man retorted, "Who made you a ruler and judge over us? Are you planning to kill me as you killed the Egyptian?" Moses then feared and thought, "Surely the matter is known." When Pharaoh heard of this, he sought to kill Moses, but Moses fled from Pharaoh and settled in the land of Midian, where he sat down by a well. The priest of Midian had 7 daughters, who came to draw water and fill the troughs to water their paddas flock. Some shepherds came and drove them away, but Moses stood up, helped them, and watered their flock. When the girls returned to their father Reuel, he asked, "Why have you returned so early today?" They replied, "An Egyptian rescued us from the shepherds. He even drew water for us and watered the flock." "Where is he?" Reuel asked his daughters. "Why did you leave him? Invite him to join us for a meal." Moses agreed to stay with the man, who gave his daughter Zipporah to Moses as his wife. Zipporah gave birth to a son, and Moses named him Kosha, saying, "I have become a wanderer in a foreign land." During that long period, the king of Egypt died. The Israelites groaned under their bondage and cried out, and their cry for help because of their slavery reached God. God heard their groaning and was mindful of his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. God looked on the Israelites and took notice of them. Now Moses was tending the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian. He led the flock to the far side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. There the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a blazing fire from within a bush. Moses saw that the bush was on fire, but it was not consumed. So Moses thought, "I will turn aside and see this remarkable sight, why the bush does not burn up." When the Lord saw that he had turned aside to look, God called to him from within the bush, "Moses, Moses!" And Moses replied, "Here I am." "Do not come any closer," God instructed. "Remove your sandals, for the place where you are standing is sacred ground." Then he said, "I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob." At this, Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look at God. The Lord said, "I have surely seen the affliction of my people in Egypt, and have heard their cry because of their taskmasters, for I am aware of their sufferings. So I have come down to deliver them from the power of the Egyptians, and to bring them up from that land to a good and spacious land, a land flowing with milk and honey, the home of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. And now, behold, the cry of the Israelites has reached me, and I have seen how the Egyptians are oppressing them. So go now. I'm commissioning you to Pharaoh to lead my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt." But Moses asked God, "Who am I to approach Pharaoh and lead the Israelites out of Egypt?" And God said, "Certainly I will be with you. And this will be the sign to you that it is I who have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you shall worship God on this mountain." Then Moses said to God, "Suppose I go to the Israelites and say to them, 'The God of your fathers has sent me to you,' and they ask me, 'What is his name?' What shall I say to them?" God said to Moses, "I am WHOIAM. This is what you are to tell the Israelites. I am has sent me to you." God also said to Moses, "Tell the Israelites, the Lord, the God of your ancestors, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has sent me to you. This is my name forever, the name by which I am to be remembered from generation to generation. Go, gather the elders of Israel and say to them, 'The Lord, the God of your ancestors, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, appeared to me and said, I have watched over you and have seen what has been done to you in Egypt. And I have promised to bring you up out of your affliction in Egypt to the land of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites, a land flowing with milk and honey. The elders of Israel will heed you. Then you and the elders are to go to the king of Egypt and say to him, The Lord, the God of the Hebrews, has encountered us. Let us take a 3-day journey into the wilderness to offer sacrifices to the Lord our God. But I am aware that the king of Egypt will not permit you to leave unless compelled by a powerful hand. So I will extend my hand and strike Egypt with all my wonders, which I will perform in their midst. After that, he will let you go. And I will cause the Egyptians to look favorably upon this people, so that when you leave you will not go empty-handed. Every woman is to request from her neighbor and any woman living in her house for articles of silver and gold and for clothing, which you will put on your sons and daughters. In this way, you will take the wealth of the Egyptians." Moses responded, "What if they do not believe me or heed my words and say, 'The Lord has not appeared to you'?" The Lord asked him, "What is that in your hand?" He answered, "A staff." The Lord instructed, "Throw it on the ground." So Moses threw it, and it became a serpent, causing him to flee from it. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Reach out your hand and seize it by the tail." So he reached out, grasped it, and it turned back into a staff in his hand. This is so they may believe that the Lord, the God of their ancestors, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, has appeared to you. The Lord then said, "Put your hand inside your cloak." Moses put his hand inside, and when he withdrew it, it was leprous, white as snow. "Now put your hand back into your cloak," he commanded. Moses did so, and when he took it out, it was restored like the rest of his flesh. The Lord continued, "If they do not believe you or pay attention to the first sign, they may believe the second. But if they do not believe even these two signs or listen to you, take some water from the Nile and pour it on the dry ground. The water you take will become blood on the ground." Moses said to the Lord, "Please, my Lord, I have never been eloquent, neither in the past nor since you have spoken to your servant. I am slow of speech and tongue." The Lord replied, "Who has made the human mouth? Who makes one mute or deaf, seeing or blind? Is it not I, the Lord? Now go, I will be with your mouth and will teach you what to say." But Moses pleaded, "Please, my Lord, send someone else." Then the Lord's anger burned against Moses, and he said, "What about your brother Aaron the Levite? I know he speaks well. He is already on his way to meet you, and he will be glad to see you. You shall speak to him and put the words in his mouth. I will be with both of you as you speak, and will instruct you in what to do. He will speak to the people for you, and it will be as if he were your mouth, and you were God to him. But carry this staff in your hand, with it you shall perform the signs." Moses then returned to Jethro, his father-in-law, and said, "Please let me go back to my people in Egypt to see if they are still alive." Jethro replied, "Go in peace." Now the Lord had said to Moses in Midian, "Return to Egypt, for all those who sought your life are dead." So Moses took his wife and sons, mounted them on a donkey, and set out for Egypt, carrying the staff of God in his hand. The Lord instructed Moses, "When you return to Egypt, perform before Pharaoh all the wonders I have given you the power to do. However, I will harden his heart, so that he will not let the people go. Then you shall say to Pharaoh, 'This is what the Lord says, Israel is my firstborn son. And I have said to you, release my son, so he may worship me. But you refuse to let him go. Therefore, I will take the life of your firstborn son.'" At a lodging place on the journey, the Lord met Moses and sought to kill him. But Zipporah took a flint knife, cut off her sin's foreskin, and touched Moses' feet with it, saying, "You are a bridegroom of blood to me." So the Lord let him alone. At that time she said, "bridegroom of blood," referring to the circumcision. The Lord instructed Aaron, "Go into the wilderness to meet Moses." So he went and met him at the mountain of God and greeted him warmly. Moses recounted to Aaron all the words of the Lord with which he had sent him, and all the signs he had commanded him to perform. Moses and Aaron then assembled all the elders of the Israelites. 하릴립이 서로 prudron relayed all the words the Lord had spoken to Moses. He also performed the signs in the sight of the people. And the people believed. When they heard that the Lord was concerned about them and had seen their affliction, they bowed down and worshipped. Afterwards, Moses and Aaron approached Pharaoh and said, "Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, release my people so that they may hold a festival to me in the wilderness." Pharaoh responded, "Who is the Lord that I should heed his voice and let Israel go? I do not recognize the Lord, and furthermore, I will not release Israel." They replied, "The God of the Hebrews has met with us. Please allow us to journey 3 days into the wilderness to offer sacrifices to the Lord our God, lest he strike us with plague or the sword." But the king of Egypt said to them, "Moses and Aaron, why do you distract the people from their tasks? Return to your labors." Pharaoh continued, "Behold, the people of the land are now many, and you would have them cease from their labors." That same day, Pharaoh issued a command to the taskmasters and foremen in charge of the people. You shall no longer supply the people with straw for making bricks as before. Let them gather straw for themselves. But you must still require them to produce the same quota of bricks as previously. Do not reduce it. They are idle, and that is why they cry out, "Let us go and sacrifice to our God." Make the work more burdensome for the men, so that they will continue working and pay no attention to falsehoods. So the taskmasters and foremen went out and informed the people. This is what Pharaoh says: I will not provide you with straw. Go and gather straw for yourselves wherever you can find it, but your workload will not be diminished in the slightest. Thus, the people scattered throughout all of Egypt to collect stubble for straw. The taskmasters pressed them, saying, "Complete your daily work quota, just as when you had straw." Pharaoh's taskmasters beat the Israelite foremen they had appointed, demanding, "Why have you not fulfilled your quota of bricks either yesterday or today, as before?" Then the Israelite foremen went and pleaded with Pharaoh, "Why do you treat your servants this way? Your servants are given no straw, yet they tell us, 'Make bricks.' And behold, your servants are being beaten, but the fault lies with your own people." But Pharaoh said, "You are idle, very idle. That is why you say, 'Let us go and sacrifice to the Lord.' Now go and work. You will not be given any straw, yet you must deliver the full quota of bricks." The Israelite foremen realized they were in a difficult situation when they were told, "You must not reduce your daily quota of bricks." As they departed from Pharaoh, they encountered Moses and Aaron, waiting for them. And they said to them, "May the Lord look upon you and judge you, for you have made us detestable in the eyes of Pharaoh and his officials, putting a sword in their hand to kill us." Moses returned to the Lord and said, "Lord, why have you brought trouble upon this people? Why did you send me? Since I went to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has brought harm upon this people, and you have not delivered your people at all." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Now you shall witness what I will do to Pharaoh. Because of my strong hand he will release them. Indeed, because of my strong hand he will drive them out of his land." God spoke further to Moses, saying, "I am the Lord. I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as God Almighty, but by my name, the Lord, I did not make myself fully known to them. I also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, where they lived as strangers. Moreover, I have heard the groaning of the Israelites, whom the Egyptians are holding in bondage, and I have remembered my covenant. Therefore say to the Israelites, I am the Lord, and I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians, and I will rescue you from their slavery. I will redeem you with an outstretched arm, and with mighty acts of judgment. I will take you as my own people, and I will be your God. Then you shall know that I am the Lord your God, who brought you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. And I will bring you to the land I swore to give to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I will give it to you as a possession. I am the Lord." Moses relayed this to the Israelites, but they did not listen to him because of their despondency and harsh labor. The Lord instructed Moses and said, "Go, tell Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to let the Israelites go out of his land." But Moses said to the Lord, "If the Israelites have not listened to me, why would Pharaoh listen to me, since I am unskilled in speech?" The Lord nevertheless spoke to Moses and Aaron and gave them a command concerning the Israelites and Pharaoh king of Egypt, to bring the Israelites out of the land of Egypt. These were the heads of their families. The sons of Reuben, Israel's firstborn, were Hanoch and Pallu, Hezron and Carmi. These were the clans of Reuben. The sons of Simeon were Temuel, Jimon, Okad, Tachin, Zohar, and Shaul the son of a Canaanite woman. These were the clans of Simeon. These were the names of the sons of Levi according to their generations: Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. Levi lived 137 years. Gershon's sons, according to their clans, were Libni and Shimei. Kohath's descendants included Amram, Izhar, Hebron, and Uziel. Kohath lived 133 years. Merari's sons were Mahli and Mushi. These were the clans of Levi, according to their records. Amram took his father's sister Jochebed as his wife, and she bore him Aaron and Moses. Amram lived 137 years. Ijah's descendants were Korah, Nepheg, and Zikri. Uziel's descendants were Mishal, Elzaphan, and Sisri. Aaron took Elisheba, daughter of Amminadab and sister of Nahshon, as his wife, and she bore him Nadab and Abihu, Eleazar and Ithamar. Korah's sons were Ashiel, Elkanah, and Abiasaph. These were the Korahite clans. Eleazar, son of Aaron, took one of the daughters of Putiel as his wife, and she bore him Phinehas. These were the heads of the Levite families, clan by clan. It was this Aaron and Moses whom the Lord instructed to bring the Israelites out of Egypt by their divisions. These were the ones who spoke to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, about bringing the Israelites out of Egypt, this same Moses and Aaron. It came to pass on the day when the Lord spoke to Moses in Egypt, that the Lord instructed Moses, saying, I am the Lord. Convey to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, all that I say to you. But Moses said to the Lord, I am not eloquent. How then will Pharaoh listen to me? Then the Lord said to Moses, See, I have made you as God to Pharaoh, and your brother Aaron will be your prophet. You shall speak everything I command you, and your brother Aaron shall tell Pharaoh to let the Israelites depart from his land. But I will harden Pharaoh's heart, so that I may multiply my signs and wonders in Egypt. Pharaoh will not listen to you, so I will lay my hand on Egypt, and bring out my armies, my people, the Israelites, by great acts of judgment. The Egyptians will know that I am the Lord when I stretch out my hand over Egypt, and bring the Israelites out from among them. Moses and Aaron carried out the rules and instructions exactly as commanded. Moses was 80 years old, and Aaron was 83, when they spoke to Pharaoh. The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, When Pharaoh says to you, Perform a miracle, you shall say to Aaron, Take your staff and throw it down before Pharaoh, and it will become a serpent. So Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and did as the Lord commanded. Aaron threw his staff down before Pharaoh and his officials, and it became a serpent. Pharaoh then summoned the wise men and sorcerers, and the Egyptian magicians did the same by their secret arts. Each one threw down his staff, and they became serpents. But Aaron's staff swallowed up their staffs. However, Pharaoh's heart remained unyielding, and he did not listen to them, just as the Lord had said. Then the Lord said to Moses, Pharaoh's heart is stubborn and hard. He refuses to let the people go. Go to Pharaoh in the morning as he goes out to the water. Stand on the bank of the Nile to meet him, and take in your hand the staff that was turned into a serpent. Say to him, The Lord, the God of the Hebrews, has sent me to say to you, Let my people go so that they may worship me in the wilderness. But you have not listened until now. This is what the Lord says. By this you shall know that I am the Lord. I will strike the water of the Nile with the staff in my hand, and it will be turned into blood. The fish in the Nile will die, the river will stink, and the Egyptians will not be able to drink the water from the Nile. The Lord said to Moses, Tell Aaron, Take your staff and stretch out your hand over the waters of Egypt, over their rivers, streams, ponds, and all their reservoirs, and they will turn to blood. There will be blood throughout all Egypt, even in vessels of wood and stone. Moses and Aaron did just as the Lord commanded. He lifted the staff and struck the water of the Nile in the sight of Pharaoh and his officials, and all the water in the Nile was turned into blood. The fish in the Nile died, and the river stank so that the Egyptians could not drink the water from the Nile. Blood was everywhere in Egypt. But the Egyptian magicians did the same by their secret arts, and Pharaoh's heart was hardened. He did not listen to Moses and Aaron, just as the Lord had said. Pharaoh turned and went into his palace, and did not take even this to heart. All the Egyptians dug along the Nile for water to drink, because they could not drink the water of the river. A week passed after the Lord had struck the Nile. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, Go to Pharaoh and say to him, This is what the Lord declares, Let my people go, so that they may serve me. But if you refuse to let them go, I will bring a plague of frogs upon your entire land. The Nile will teem with frogs, which will come up and enter your palace, your bedroom, and your bed, and into the houses of your officials and your people, and into your ovens and kneading troughs. The frogs will invade you, your people, and all your officials. Then the Lord said to Moses, Instruct Aaron, stretch out your hand with your staff over the rivers, streams, and ponds, and make frogs come up on the land of Egypt. So Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters of Egypt, and frogs came up and covered the land. Yet the magicians did the same with their secret arts, bringing frogs up on the land of Egypt. Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron and said, "Entreat the Lord to remove the frogs from me and my people, and I will let your people go to sacrifice to the Lord." Moses said to Pharaoh, "I leave to you the honor of deciding when I should pray for you, your officials, and your people, that the frogs may be removed from you and your houses, leaving only those in the Nile." Pharaoh replied, "Tomorrow?" Moses said, "It will be as you say, so that you may know there is no one like the Lord our God. The frogs will depart from you, your houses, your officials, and your people. They will remain only in the Nile." After Moses and Aaron left Pharaoh, Moses cried out to the Lord concerning the frogs he had inflicted upon Pharaoh. And the Lord did as Moses requested. The frogs died in the houses, courtyards, and fields. They were gathered into heaps, and the land reeked of them. But when Pharaoh saw that there was relief, he hardened his heart and did not listen to Moses and Aaron, just as the Lord had said. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Tell Aaron, stretch out your staff and strike the dust of the ground, and it will become gnats throughout the land of Egypt." They did this, and when Aaron stretched out his hand with the staff and struck the dust of the ground, gnats came upon people and animals. All the dust throughout the land of Egypt became gnats. The magicians tried to produce gnats by their secret arts, but they could not. There were gnats on people and animals everywhere. The magicians said to Pharaoh, "This is the work of God." But Pharaoh's heart was stubborn, and he would not listen, just as the Lord had said. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Rise early in the morning and confront Pharaoh as he goes to the river and say to him, 'This is what the Lord says, let my people go, so that they may serve me. If you refuse to let my people go, I will send swarms of flies on you, your officials, your people, and into your houses. The houses of the Egyptians will be full of flies, and even the ground will be covered with them. But on that day I will set apart the land of Goshen, where my people live, so that no swarms of flies will be there, so that you will know that I, the Lord, am in this land. I will show a difference between my people and your people. This sign will happen tomorrow." And the Lord did so. Dense swarms of flies came into Pharaoh's palace and into the houses of his officials. Throughout Egypt, the land was ruined by the flies. Then Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron and said, "Go, sacrifice to your God here in this land." But Moses said, "That would not be right. The sacrifices we offer the Lord our God would be detestable to the Egyptians. If we offer sacrifices that are detestable in their eyes, will they not stone us? We must take a 3-day journey into the wilderness to offer sacrifices to the Lord our God, as he has directed us." Pharaoh said, "I will permit you to go and offer sacrifices to the Lord your God in the wilderness, but you must not go too far. Now, please pray for me." Moses answered, "As soon as I leave you, I will pray to the Lord. And tomorrow the flies will depart from Pharaoh, his officials, and his people. Only let Pharaoh be sure not to act deceitfully again by not letting the people go to offer sacrifices to the Lord." Moses then departed from Pharaoh and prayed to the Lord, and the Lord did as Moses asked. The flies left Pharaoh, his officials, and his people. Not a fly remained. Yet Pharaoh hardened his heart once more, and he did not let the people go. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Go to Pharaoh and tell him, 'This is what the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, declares: Release my people, so that they may serve me. If you refuse to let them go and continue to restrain them, behold, the hand of the Lord will bring a severe plague upon your livestock in the field, upon the horses, donkeys, camels, cattle, sheep, and goats. However, the Lord will make a distinction between the livestock of Israel and that of Egypt, so that no animal belonging to the Israelites will perish.'" The Lord set a specific time, saying, "Tomorrow the Lord will carry out this action in the land." And the following day the Lord did so. All the livestock of the Egyptians perished, but not a single animal belonging to the Israelites died. Pharaoh sent men to investigate, and discovered that not even one of the livestock of the Israelites had died. Yet Pharaoh's heart remained hardened, and he did not release the people. Then the Lord instructed Moses and Aaron, "Take handfuls of soot from a kiln, and let Moses throw it into the air in Pharaoh's presence. It will become fine dust over all the land of Egypt, causing boils to break out with sores on people and animals throughout the land." So they took soot from a kiln and stood before Pharaoh. Moses tossed it into the air, and boils broke out with sores on people and animals. The magicians were unable to stand before Moses due to the boils, which afflicted them, as well as all the Egyptians. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he did not listen to Moses and Aaron, just as the Lord had foretold to Moses. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Rise early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh, and say to him, 'This is what the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, declares. Let my people go, so that they may serve me. All this time I will send the full force of my plagues against you, your officials, and your people, so that you may know that there is no one like me in all the earth. For by now I could have stretched out my hand and struck you and your people with a plague that would have wiped you from the earth. But I have allowed you to remain for this purpose, to show you my power and to have my name proclaimed throughout the earth. You still exalt yourself against my people by not letting them go. Therefore, at this time tomorrow, I will send the worst hailstorm that has ever fallen on Egypt, from the day it was founded until now. Issue a command now to bring your livestock and everything you have in the field to a place of shelter, for the hail will fall on every person and animal that is found in the field, and is not brought inside, and they will die. Those among Pharaoh's officials who feared the word of the Lord hurried to bring their servants and their livestock indoors. But those who disregarded the word of the Lord left their servants and livestock in the field. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand toward the sky, so that hail will fall across all of Egypt, on people, animals, and every plant in the fields of Egypt." When Moses stretched out his staff toward the sky, the Lord sent thunder and hail, and fire ran down to the earth. Thus, the Lord rained hail upon the land of Egypt. There was hail and fire flashing continuously amidst the hail, the heaviest storm Egypt had witnessed since it became a nation. Throughout Egypt, the hail struck everything in the fields, both people and animals. It beat down every plant and shattered every tree. The only place it did not hail was in the land of Goshen, where the Israelites resided. Then Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron. "I have sinned this time," he said to them. "The Lord is in the right, and I and my people are in the wrong. Plead with the Lord, for there has been enough of God's thunder and hail. I will let you go. You do not have to stay any longer." Moses replied, "As soon as I leave the city, I will spread out my hands to the Lord. The thunder will cease, and there will be no more hail, so that you may know that the earth is the Lord's. But I am aware that you and your officials still do not hold the Lord God in reverence." The flax and barley were ruined, since the barley was in ear, and the flax was in bloom. But the wheat and spelt were not destroyed, because they ripened later. Then Moses left Pharaoh and went out of the city. He spread out his hands to the Lord. The thunder and hail ceased, and the rain no longer poured down on the earth. When Pharaoh saw that the rain, hail, and thunder had stopped, he sinned again. He and his officials hardened their hearts. So Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he did not let the Israelites go, just as the Lord had spoken through Moses. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Go to Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the hearts of his servants, so that I may perform these signs of mine among them, that you may recount to your sons and grandsons how I made a mockery of the Egyptians, and how I performed my signs among them, so that you may know that I am the Lord." So Moses and Aaron approached Pharaoh and conveyed the message. "This is what the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, declares. How long will you refuse to humble yourself before me? Allow my people to go, so that they may serve me. For if you continue to refuse to let my people go, take note, tomorrow I will bring locusts into your territory. They will cover the surface of the land, so that no one will be able to see it. They will devour what is left to you after the hail, including every tree that grows in your fields. Your houses will be filled with them, along with the houses of all your servants and all the Egyptians, something neither your fathers nor your grandfathers have seen from the day they settled in this land until now." Then Moses turned and left Pharaoh. Then Pharaoh's servants said to him, How long will this man be a snare to us? Let the people go, so that they may serve the Lord their God. Do you not yet realize that Egypt is destroyed?" So Moses and Aaron were brought back to Pharaoh, and he said to them, "Go, serve the Lord your God, but tell me who will be going." Moses said, "We shall go with our young and our old, with our sons and our daughters, and with our flocks and herds, for we must hold a feast to the Lord." Then he said to them, "The Lord be with you if I let you go with your little ones. Clearly you have evil intentions. No, only the men may go and serve the Lord, since that is what you desire." Then Moses and Aaron were driven out from Pharaoh's presence. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand over the land of Egypt for the locusts, so that they may come upon the land and devour every plant of the land, everything left by the hail." So Moses stretched out his staff over the land of Egypt. And the Lord directed an east wind on the land all that day and all that night. By morning, the wind had brought the locusts. The locusts came up over all the land of Egypt, and settled in all the territory of Egypt in great numbers. Never before had there been such a plague of locusts, nor will there ever be again. They covered the surface of the whole land until it was darkened. They devoured every plant of the land, and all the fruit of the trees that the hail had left. Nothing green remained on tree or plant throughout the land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh hurriedly called for Moses and Aaron and said, "I have sinned against the Lord your God and against you. Now forgive my sin, please, only this once, and plead with the Lord your God to take away this death from me." Then Moses left Pharaoh and pleaded with the Lord. So the Lord changed the wind to a very strong west wind, which picked up the locusts and drove them into the Red Sea. Not a single locust was left in all the territory of Egypt. Yet the Lord made Pharaoh's heart stubborn, and he did not allow the Israelites to leave. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand toward the sky, so that darkness spreads over the land of Egypt, a darkness that can be felt." So Moses stretched out his hand toward the sky, and thick darkness covered all the land of Egypt for 3 days. No one could see another, nor did anyone rise from his place for 3 days. Yet all the Israelites had light in their dwellings. Then Pharaoh called for Moses and said, "Go, serve the Lord. Even your little ones may go with you, but leave your flocks and herds behind." But Moses said, "You must also let us have sacrifices and burnt offerings to present to the Lord our God. Our livestock too must go with us, not a hoof shall be left behind. We must take some of them to serve the Lord our God, and until we arrive there, we do not know what we shall use to serve the Lord." However, the Lord made Pharaoh's heart stubborn, and he was not willing to let them go. Then Pharaoh said to Moses, "Get away from me. Be sure you do not see my face again, for on the day you see my face you shall die." Moses replied, "You have spoken truly. I shall never see your face again." Now the Lord spoke to Moses, "I will bring one final plague upon Pharaoh and Egypt. After this, he will release you from here. When he does, he will surely drive you out completely. Instruct the people that each man and woman should request articles of silver and gold from their neighbors." The Lord caused the Egyptians to look favorably upon the people, and Moses was highly esteemed in Egypt by Pharaoh's officials and the populace. Moses then declared, "This is what the Lord says, around midnight I will go throughout Egypt. Every firstborn in the land of Egypt shall perish, from the firstborn of Pharaoh who sits on the throne, to the firstborn of the slave girl behind the millstones, and all the firstborn of the cattle as well. There will be a great wailing throughout Egypt, unlike anything that has ever occurred or will ever occur again. But among the Israelites, not even a dog will growl at any person or animal, so that you may understand that the Lord makes a distinction between Egypt and Israel. All these officials of yours will come down to me, bowing before me and saying, 'Depart, you and all the people who follow you.' After that, I will depart." Then Moses left Pharaoh in great anger. The Lord had told Moses, "Pharaoh will not listen to you, so that my wonders may be multiplied in Egypt." Moses and Aaron performed all these wonders before Pharaoh, but the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he did not permit the Israelites to leave his land. The Lord addressed Moses and Aaron while they were in the land of Egypt. "This month shall mark the start of month for you. It is to be the first month of the year for you. Speak to all the congregation of Israel, saying, On the 10th of this month, each one is to take a lamb for themselves, according to their fathers' households, a lamb for each household. Now, if the household is too small for a lamb, then he and his nearest neighbor are to take one according to the number of people in them. You are to divide the lamb according to what each person will eat. Your lamb shall be a flawless male, a year old. You may take it from the sheep or from the goats. And you shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month. Then the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel is to slaughter it at twilight. Furthermore, they shall take some of the blood and apply it on the 2 doorposts and on the lintel of the houses in which they eat it. They shall consume the flesh that same night, roasted with fire, and they shall eat it with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. Do not eat any of it raw or boiled in water, but roasted with fire, its head and its legs along with its entrails. And you shall not leave any of it until morning, but whatever remains until morning, you shall burn with fire. Now you shall eat it in this way, with your belt fastened, your sandals on your feet, and your staff in your hand. You shall eat it in a hurry. It is the rule to Passover. For I will go through the land of Egypt on that night, and will strike down all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and animal, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgments. I am the Lord. The blood shall serve as a sign for you on the houses where you live, and when I see the blood I will pass over you, and no plague will come upon you to destroy you, when I strike the land of Egypt. This day shall be a memorial to you, and you shall celebrate it as a feast to the Lord. Throughout your generations you are to observe it as a lasting ordinance. For 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. But on the first day you shall remove leaven from your houses. For whoever eats anything leavened from the first day until the 7th day, that person shall be cut off from Israel. On the first day you shall have a holy assembly, and another holy assembly on the 7th day. No work at all shall be done on them, except what must be eaten by every person, that alone may be prepared by you. You are also to celebrate the feast of unleavened bread, for on this very day I brought your multitudes out of the land of Egypt. Therefore you shall celebrate this day throughout your generations as a permanent ordinance. From the evening of the 14th day of the 1st month, you shall eat unleavened bread, until the evening of the 21st day of the month. For 7 days there shall be no leaven found in your houses. For whoever eats what is leavened, that person shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether they are a stranger or a native of the land. You must avoid eating anything leavened. In all your dwellings you shall eat unleavened bread. Then Moses summoned all the elders of Israel and instructed them, Go and select lambs for yourselves according to your families, and sacrifice the Passover lamb. And you shall take a bunch of hyssop, dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and apply some of the blood that is in the basin to the lintel and the 2 doorposts, and none of you shall go outside the door of his house until morning. For the Lord will pass through to strike the Egyptians. But when he sees the blood on the lintel and on the 2 doorposts, the Lord will pass over the door, and will not allow the destroyer to come into your houses to strike you. And you shall observe to Tishbent as a statute for you and your children for all time. When you enter the land which the Lord will give you, as he has promised, you shall maintain this rite. And when your children say to you, What does this rite mean to you? Then you shall say, It is a Passover sacrifice to the Lord, because he passed over the houses of the sons of Israel in Egypt when he struck the Egyptians, but spared our homes. And the people bowed low and worshipped. Then the sons of Israel went and did, just as the Lord had commanded Moses and Aaron. They did as they were commanded. And so, around midnight, the Lord struck all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh, who sat on his throne, to the firstborn of the captive, who was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of cattle. Then Pharaoh got up in the night, he and all his servants and all the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was no home where there was not someone dead. And he called for Moses and Aaron at night, and said, Get up, go away from my people, both you and the sons of Israel, and go, serve the Lord, as you have said. Take both your flocks and your herds, as you have said, and go, and also bless me. The Egyptians urged the people to send them out of the land in haste, for they said, We shall all perish. So the people took their dough before it was leavened, carrying their kneading bowls wrapped in their clothing on their shoulders. Now the sons of Israel had done according to the word of Moses, for they had requested from the Egyptians articles of silver and gold and clothing. And the Lord had given the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they let them have what they requested. So they plundered the Egyptians. The sons of Israel journeyed from Ramesses to Succoth, about 600,000 men on foot, aside from children. A mixed multitude also went up with them, along with flocks and herds, a very large number of livestock. And they baked the dough which they had brought out of Egypt into cakes of unleavened bread. For it had not become leavened, since they were driven out of Egypt, and could not delay, nor had they prepared any provisions for themselves. Now the time that the sons of Israel had lived in Egypt was 430 years. And at the end of 430 years, on this very same day, all the multitudes of the lords departed from the land of Egypt. It is a night to be observed for the Lord, for having brought them out from the land of Egypt. This night is for the Lord, to be observed by all the sons of Israel throughout their generations. And the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "This is the ordinance of the Passover. No foreigner is to eat it. But as for every slave that someone has purchased with money, after you have circumcised him, then he may eat it. A visitor or a hired worker shall not partake of it. It is to be eaten in a single house. You are not to take any of the meat outside of the house, nor are you to break any bone of it. All the congregation of Israel are to celebrate this. But if a stranger resides with you and celebrates the Passover to the Lord, all his males are to be circumcised, and then he may come near to celebrate it, and he shall be like a native of the land. But no uncircumcised person may eat it. The same law shall apply to the native as to the stranger who resides among you." Then all the sons of Israel did as they were commanded. They did just as the Lord had commanded Moses and Aaron. And on that very same day, the Lord brought the sons of Israel out of the land of Egypt by their multitudes. The Lord then spoke to Moses and said, "Consecrate to me every firstborn, the first offspring of every womb among the Israelites, whether human or animal. It belongs to me." Moses said to the people, "Remember this day, the day you came out of Egypt, out of the house of slavery, for the Lord brought you out with a powerful hand. Do not eat anything containing yeast. This day marks your departure in the month of Abib, when the Lord brings you into the land of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Hivites, and Jebusites, the land he swore to your ancestors to give you, a land flowing with milk and honey. You shall observe this rite in this month. For 7 days eat unleavened bread, and on the 7th day hold a feast to the Lord. Eat unleavened bread during those 7 days. Nothing with yeast shall be seen among you, nor shall any yeast be seen anywhere within your borders. On that day tell your son, it is because of what the Lord did for me when I came out of Egypt. It shall be like a sign on your hand and a reminder on your forehead that the law of the Lord is to be on your lips, for with a powerful hand the Lord brought you out of Egypt. You must keep this ordinance at its appointed time year after year. When the Lord brings you into the land of the Canaanites and gives it to you, as he promised on oath to you and your ancestors, you shall give over to the Lord the first offspring of every womb. All the firstborn males of your livestock belong to the Lord. For every firstborn donkey, substitute a lamb, but if you do not substitute it, break its neck. Redeem every firstborn among your sons. In days to come, when your son asks you, "What does this mean?" say to him, "With a powerful hand the Lord brought us out of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. When Pharaoh stubbornly refused to let us go, the Lord killed the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both human and animal. This is why I sacrifice to the Lord the first male offspring of every womb, and redeem each of my firstborn sons. It will be like a sign on your hand, and as phylacteries on your forehead. For with a powerful hand the Lord brought us out of Egypt." When Pharaoh let the people go, God did not lead them by the way of the land of the Philistines, though it was nearer, for God said, if they face war, they might change their minds and return to Egypt. So God led the people around by the way of the wilderness towards the Red Sea, and the Israelites went up out of Egypt ready for battle. Moses took the bones of Joseph with him, because Joseph had made the Israelites swear an oath, saying, God will surely come to your aid, and then you must carry my bones up with you from this place." After leaving Succoth, they camped at Etham on the edge of the wilderness. During the day, the Lord went ahead of them in a pillar of cloud to guide them, and by night in a pillar of fire to provide light, enabling them to travel by day or night. Neither the pillar of cloud by day, nor the pillar of fire by night, left its place from in front of the people. Now the Lord spoke to Moses. "Tell the Israelites to turn back and camp near Pi Hahiros, between Migdol and the sea. You shall camp opposite Baal-zephon by the sea. For Pharaoh will say of the Israelites, 'They are lost in the land, the wilderness has trapped them.' And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he will pursue them. And I will gain glory for myself through Pharaoh and all his army, and the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord." And they did so. When the king of Egypt was informed that the people had fled, Pharaoh and his officials had a change of heart about them, and said, "What have we done? We have let the Israelites go and lost their services." So he had his chariot prepared and took his people with him. He took 600 select chariots, along with all the other chariots of Egypt, with officers over all of them. The Lord made Pharaoh, king of Egypt, determined, so that he pursued the Israelites, who were marching out boldly. The Egyptians pursued them with all Pharaoh's horses and chariots, his horsemen and troops, and overtook them as they camped by the sea, near Pi Hahiros, opposite Baal-zephon. As Pharaoh approached, the Israelites looked up and saw the Egyptians marching after them, and they were terrified and cried out to the Lord. They said to Moses, "Was it because there were no graves in Egypt that you have brought us to the wilderness to die? What have you done to us by bringing us out of Egypt? Did we not say to you in Egypt, 'Leave us alone so that we may serve the Egyptians'? It would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the wilderness." But Moses said to the people, "Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. The Egyptians you see today, you will never see again. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be silent." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to move forward. Lift your staff, and stretch out your hand over the sea to part the water, so that the Israelites can pass through the sea on dry ground. I will make the Egyptians determined so that they will follow them. And I will gain glory through Pharaoh and all his army, through his chariots and his horsemen. The Egyptians will come to understand that I am the Lord, when I gain glory through Pharaoh, his chariots and his horsemen." Then the angel of God, who had been traveling in front of Israel's army, moved and went behind them. The pillar of cloud also moved from in front and stood behind them, coming between the camp of Egypt and the camp of Israel. Throughout the night, the cloud brought darkness to one side and light to the other, so neither went near the other all night long. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and all that night the Lord drove the sea back with a strong east wind and turned it into dry land. The waters were parted, and the Israelites passed through the sea on dry ground, with a wall of water on their right and on their left. The Egyptians pursued them, and all Pharaoh's horses, chariots, and horsemen followed them into the sea. During the last watch of the night, the Lord looked down from the pillar of fire and clouds at the Egyptian army, and caused a confusion among them. He jammed the wheels of their chariots, so that they had difficulty driving, and the Egyptians said, "Let us flee from the Israelites, the Lord is fighting for them against Egypt." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand over the sea, so that the waters may flow back over the Egyptians, their chariots and horsemen." So Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and at daybreak the sea returned to its place. The Egyptians were fleeing towards it, and the Lord swept them into the sea. The water flowed back and covered the chariots and horsemen, the entire army of Pharaoh that had followed the Israelites into the sea. None of them survived. But the Israelites passed through the sea on dry ground, with a wall of water on their right and on their left. That day the Lord delivered Israel from the hands of the Egyptians, and Israel saw the Egyptians lying dead on the shore. When the Israelites saw the mighty hand of the Lord displayed against the Egyptians, the people feared the Lord and put their trust in him and in Moses his servant. Then Moses and the children of Israel sang this song to the Lord, saying, I will sing to the Lord, for he is highly exalted. The horse and its rider he has cast into the sea. The Lord is my strength and my song. He has become my salvation. He is my God, and I will praise him, my Pados God, and I will exalt him. The Lord is mighty in battle. The Lord is his name. Pharaoh's chariots and his army he is thrown into the sea. The finest of Pharaoh's officers are drowned in the Red Sea. The deep waters enveloped them. They sank into the depths like a stone. Your right hand, Lord, is majestic in power. Your right hand, Lord, shatters the enemy. In the greatness of your majesty, you overthrow those who rise against you. You unleash your burning anger. It consumes them like chaff. At the blast of your nostrils, the waters piled up. The surging waters stood up like a wall. The depths congealed in the heart of the sea. The enemy said, I will pursue. I will overtake. I will divide the spoils. I will gorge myself on them. I will draw my sword, and my hand will destroy them. But with a breath from you, the sea covered them. They sank like lead in the mighty waters. Who is like you among the heavenly beings, Lord? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, awe-inspiring in glory, performing wonders? You extended your strong right hand, and the earth swallowed them. In your unfailing love you have led the people you have redeemed. In your strength you have guided them to your holy dwelling. The nations have heard and tremble. Anguish grips the inhabitants of Philistia. The chiefs of Edom are dismayed. The leaders of Moab, trembling grips them. All the inhabitants of Canaan melt away. Terror and dread fall upon them. By the power of your arm they are as still as a stone, until your people pass by, Lord, until the people you have purchased pass by. You will bring them in and establish them on the mountain of your inheritance, the place, Lord, you made for your dwelling, the sanctuary, Lord, your hands have set up. The Lord will reign for all time. When Pharaoh's horses, chariots, and horsemen went into the sea, the Lord brought the waters of the sea back over them. But the Israelites walked on dry land through the midst of the sea. Then Miriam the prophetess, Aaron's sister, took a tambourine in her hand, and all the women went out after her with tambourines and dancing. And Miriam sang to them, Sing to the Lord, for he is highly exalted. The horse and its rider he has hurled into the sea. Then Moses led Israel from the Red Sea, and they went into the wilderness of Shur. For 3 days they traveled in the wilderness without finding water. When they reached Marah, they could not drink its water because it was bitter. That is why the place is called Marah. So the people complained to Moses, asking, What are we to drink? Then Moses cried out to the Lord, and the Lord showed him a piece of wood. He threw it into the water, and the water became sweet. There the Lord made a statute and an ordinance for them, and there he tested them. He said, If you listen carefully to the voice of the Lord your God and do what is right in his eyes, if you pay attention to his commands and keep all his decrees, I will not bring on you any of the diseases I brought on the Egyptians, for I am the Lord, who heals you. Then they came to Elim, where there were 12 springs and 70 palm trees, and they camped there by the waters. The entire assembly of the Israelites departed from Elim and journeyed to the wilderness of Sin, which lies between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the 2nd month after their exodus from Egypt. In the wilderness, the whole congregation of the Israelites complained against Moses and Aaron. The Israelites said to them, If only we had perished by the Lord's hand in Egypt, where we sat by pots of meat and ate bread to our fill, but you have brought us into this wilderness, to starve this entire assembly to death. Then the Lord said to Moses, Behold, I will rain down bread from heaven for you. The people are to go out each day, and gather enough for that day. In doing so, I will test them to see whether they will follow my instructions. On the 6th day, they are to prepare what they bring in, and it will be twice as much as they gather on the other days. So Moses and Aaron spoke to all the Israelites, saying, In the evening, you will realize that it was the Lord who brought you out of Egypt. And in the morning, you will see the glory of the Lord, for he has heard your complaints against him. Who are we, that you should grumble against us? Moses also said, You will know that it was the Lord when he gives you meat to eat in the evening and bread to your fill in the morning, because he has heard your grumblings against him. Who are we? You are not grumbling against us, but against the Lord. Then Moses instructed Aaron, "Say to the entire assembly of the Israelites, 'Come before the Lord, for he has heard your grumblings.'" As Aaron spoke to the whole congregation of the Israelites, they turned towards the wilderness, and behold, the glory of the Lord appeared in the cloud. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "I have heard the grumblings of the Israelites. Speak to them, saying, 'At twilight you shall eat meat, and in the morning you shall be filled with bread. Then you will know that I am the Lord your God.'" That evening, quail arrived and covered the camp, and in the morning there was a layer of dew around the camp. When the dew evaporated, behold, on the surface of the wilderness there was a fine, flake-like substance, as fine as frost on the ground. When the Israelites saw it, they asked one another, "What is it?" For they did not know what it was. Moses said to them, "It is the bread that the Lord has given you to eat. This is what the Lord has commanded. Everyone is to gather according to their needs. Take an omer for each person you have in your tent." The Israelites did as they were instructed. Some gathered much, some little. When they measured it by the omer, the one who gathered much did not have too much, and the one who gathered little going did not have too little. Each person gathered as much as they needed. Then Moses said to them, "No one should keep any of it until morning." However, they did not listen to Moses. Some kept part of it until morning, and it bred worms and stank. So Moses was angry with them. Each morning, everyone gathered according to their needs, and when the sun grew hot, it melted away. On the sixth day, they gathered twice as much, 2 omers for each person, and all the leaders of the congregation came and reported this to Moses. He said to them, "This is what the Lord has commanded. Tomorrow is to be a day of Sabbath rest, a holy Sabbath to the Lord. Bake what you want to bake, and boil what you want to boil. Save whatever is left, and keep it until morning." So they saved it until morning, as Moses instructed, and it did not stink, nor was there a maggot in it. Moses said, "Eat it today, because today is a Sabbath to the Lord. You will not find any of it on the ground today. For 6 days you are to gather it, but on the 7th day, the Sabbath, there will not be any." Yet some of the people went out on the 7th day to gather it, but they found nothing. Then the Lord said to Moses, "How long will you delay in keeping my commands and my instructions? See, the Lord has given you the Sabbath. That is why on the 6th day he gives you bread for 2 days. Everyone is to remain in their place on the 7th day. No one is to go out." Thus, the people observed rest on the 7th day. The Israelites called the bread manna. It was white like coriander seed and tasted like wafers made with honey. Moses said, "This is what the Lord has commanded. Take an omer of manna and keep it for future generations, so they can see the bread I gave you to eat in the wilderness when I brought you out of Egypt." So Moses instructed Aaron, "Take a jar and put an omer of manna in it. Then place it before the Lord to be kept for future generations." Following the Lord's command to Moses, Aaron placed it before the testimony to be preserved. The Israelites ate manna for 40 years, until they reached the land that was settled. They ate manna until they came to the border of Canaan. An omer is approximately 1/10 of an ephah. The entire community of the Israelites set out by stages from the wilderness of Sin, following the Lord's command, and encamped at Rephidim, where there was no water for the people to drink. The people contended with Moses, demanding, "Give us water to drink." Moses responded, "Why do you quarrel with me? Why do you test the Lord?" The people, thirsting for water, grumbled against Moses, saying, "Why did you bring us up from Egypt to kill us and our children and livestock with thirst?" Moses cried out to the Lord, "What shall I do with this people? They are almost ready to stone me." The Lord instructed Moses, "Pass before the people. Take some of the elders of Israel with you, and take in your hand the staff with which you struck the Nile, and go. I will stand before you there on the rock at Horeb. Strike the rock, and water will flow from it for the people to drink." Moses did so in the sight of the elders of Israel. He named the place Massah and Meribah because of the contention of the Israelites, and because they tested the Lord, asking, "Is the Lord among us or not?" The Amalekites came and waged war against Israel at Rephidim. Moses instructed Joshua, "Choose men for us and go out to fight against Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the staff of God in my hand." Joshua did as Moses commanded and fought against Amalek, while Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of the hill. Whenever Moses held up his hands, Israel prevailed, but when he lowered his hands, Amalek prevailed. Moses' hands grew weary, so they placed a stone under him, and he sat on it. Aaron and Hur supported his hands, one on each side, so his hands remained steady until sunset. Joshua defeated Amalek and his people with the sword. The Lord said to Moses, "Write this as a memorial in a book, and recite it to Joshua, for I will utterly blot out the memory of Amalek from under heaven." Moses constructed an altar and named it, "The Lord is my banner." He declared, "Because the Lord has sworn, the Lord will have war against Amalek from generation to generation." Now Jethro, the priest of Midian and Moses' father-in-law, heard about all that God had done for Moses and for his people Israel, and how the Lord had brought Israel out of Egypt. Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, had taken in Moses' wife Zipporah after Moses had sent her away, along with her 2 sons. One was named Kosho, for Moses had said, "I have been a stranger in a foreign land." The other was named Eliezer, for he had said, "The God of my father was my help and delivered me from the sword of Pharaoh." Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, came with Moses' sons and wife to him in the wilderness, where he was camped at the mountain of God. And he sent a message to Moses, "I, your father-in-law Jethro, am coming to you with your wife and her 2 sons." Moses went out to meet his father-in-law, bowed down, and kissed him. They asked each other about their welfare, and then went into the tent. Moses recounted to his father-in-law all that the Lord had done to Pharaoh and the Egyptians for Israel's sake, all the hardships they had faced on their journey, and how the Lord had delivered them. Jethro rejoiced over all the good things the Lord had done for Israel in rescuing them from the hand of the Egyptians. Jethro said, "Blessed be the Lord, who has rescued you from the hand of the Egyptians and from Pharaoh, and who has delivered the people from the hand of the Egyptians. Now I know that the Lord is greater than all other gods, for he has shown this when they acted arrogantly against the people." Then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, offered a burnt offering and sacrifices to God, and Aaron came with all the elders of Israel to eat a meal with Moses' father-in-law in the presence of God. The following day Moses sat to judge the people, and they stood around him from morning until evening. When Moses' father-in-law saw all that he was doing for the people, he asked, "What is this that you are doing for the people? Why do you sit alone as judge, while all the people stand around you from morning till evening?" Moses replied to his father-in-law, "Because the people come to me to seek God's will. When they have a dispute, it is brought to me, and I judge between the parties and make known God's decrees and laws." Moses' father-in-law spoke to him, and said, "What you are doing is not good. You and these people who come to you will only wear yourselves out. The task is too heavy for you, you cannot do it alone. Now listen to me, I will give you advice, and may God be with you. You must be the people's representative before God, and bring their disputes to Him. Teach them His decrees and instructions, and show them the way they are to live, and the work they are to do. Select capable men from among the people, men who fear God, trustworthy men who hate dishonest gain, and appoint them as leaders over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. Let them serve as judges for the people at all times, but bring every difficult case to you. They can decide the simple cases themselves. This will lighten your load, as they will share it with you. If you do this and God so commands, you will be able to endure, and all these people will go home satisfied." Moses listened to his father-in-law and did everything he suggested. He selected capable men from all Israel and appointed them as leaders of the people, officials over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. They judged the people at all times. They brought the difficult cases to Moses, but decided the simple ones themselves. Then Moses bade farewell to his father-in-law, and Jethro went back to his own land. In the 3rd month after the Israelites had departed from Egypt, on that very day, they arrived in the desert of Sinai. After setting out from Rephidim, they came to the desert of Sinai and camped there in front of the mountain. Moses went up to God, and the Lord called to him from the mountain, saying, "This is what you shall say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel. You have witnessed what I did to the Egyptians, and how I carried you, as if on eagle's wings, and brought you to myself. Now, if you fully obey my voice and keep my covenant, then out of all nations you will be my treasured possession, for the whole earth is mine. You shall be for me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words you are to speak to the Israelites." Moses returned and summoned the elders of the people, and set before them all the words the Lord had commanded him. The people all responded together, "We will do everything the Lord has spoken." So Moses brought their answer back to the Lord. The Lord said to Moses, "I will come to you in a thick cloud, so that the people may hear when I speak with you, and may always trust in you." Then Moses relayed the people's words to the Lord. The Lord said to Moses, "Go to the people and consecrate them today and tomorrow. Have them wash their garments. And be ready by the third day, for on that day the Lord will come down on Mount Sinai in the sight of all the people. Set boundaries for the people all around, warning them, 'Be careful not to go up the mountain or touch its edge. Whoever touches the mountain shall surely be put to death. No hand shall touch them, but they shall be stoned or shot with arrows. Whether animal or human, they shall not live. Only when the ram's horn sounds a long blast may they approach the mountain.' So Moses went down from the mountain to the people and consecrated them, and they washed their garments. He said to the people, 'Prepare yourselves for the third day. Abstain from sexual relations.' On the morning of the third day, there was thunder and lightning, with a thick cloud over the mountain and a very loud trumpet blast, causing everyone in the camp to tremble. Moses led the people out of the camp to meet with God, and they stood at the foot of the mountain. Mount Sinai was covered with smoke, because the Lord descended on it in fire. The smoke rose like the smoke from a furnace, and the whole mountain shook violently. As the sound of the trumpet grew louder and louder, Moses spoke, and God answered him with a voice like thunder. The Lord descended to the top of Mount Sinai and called Moses to the top of the mountain, and Moses went up. The Lord said to Moses, "Go down and warn the people not to force their way through to see the Lord, or many of them will perish. Even the priests who come near to the Lord must purify themselves, or the Lord will act against them." Moses said to the Lord, "The people cannot come up Mount Sinai, because you yourself warned us, 'Set boundaries around the mountain and consecrate it.'" The Lord replied, "Go down and bring Aaron up with you, but do not let the priests and the people break through to come up to the Lord, or he will act against them." So Moses went down to the people and informed them, and God declared all these words, "I am the Lord your God, who delivered you from the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage. You shall not have any other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself an idol in the form of anything in heaven above, or on the earth beneath, or in the waters under the earth. You shall not bow down to them or serve them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children, to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me, but extending kindness to thousands, who love me and follow my commandments. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not hold anyone guiltless who misuses his name. Observe the Sabbath day to keep it holy. For 6 days you are to work and complete all your tasks. But the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, neither you, nor your son or daughter, nor your male or female servant, nor your cattle, nor the foreigner residing in your towns. For in 6 days the Lord created the heavens and the earth, the sea, and everything in them, and then rested on the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. Honor your father and your mother, so that your days may be long in the land the Lord your God is giving you. You shall not commit murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against any neighbor. You shall not desire your neighbor's house. You shall not desire your neighbor's wife, or his male or female servant, his ox or donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. When all the people saw the thunder and the lightning flashes, and heard the sound of the trumpet, and saw the mountain in smoke, they trembled and stood at a distance. And they said to Moses, "Speak to us yourself, and we will listen, but do not let God speak to us, or we will die." Moses said to the people, "Do not be afraid, for God has come to test you, so that the fear of him will be with you to keep you from sinning." So the people remained at a distance, while Moses approached the thick darkness where God was. The Lord then instructed Moses, "Tell the Israelites this: You have witnessed that I have spoken to you from heaven. Do not make any gods to be alongside me, gods of silver or gods of gold, you shall not make for yourselves. Make an altar of earth for me, and sacrifice on it your burnt offerings and peace offerings, your sheep and your oxen. In every place where I cause my name to be remembered, I will come to you and bless you. If you make an altar of stone for me, do not build it with dressed stones, for if you use a tool on it, you will defile it. And do not go up to my altar on steps, so that your nakedness may not be exposed. These are the ordinances you shall set before them. If you acquire a Hebrew servant, he shall serve for 6 years. But in the 7th year, he shall be released as a free man, without any payment. If he arrives alone, he shall depart alone, but if he is married, then his wife shall live with him. If his master provides him with a wife, and she bears him sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall belong to her master, and he shall depart alone. But if the servant declares, I have affection for my master, my wife, and my children, I will not leave as a free man. Then his master shall bring him before God. He shall bring him to the door or the doorpost, and pierce his ear with an awl, and he shall serve him permanently. If a man sells his daughter as a maidservant, she shall not go free as male servants do. If she does not please her master, who has chosen her for himself, he must allow her to be redeemed. He has no authority to sell her to foreign people, due to his unfaithfulness to her. If he designates her for his son, he must treat her according to the rights of daughters. If he marries another woman, he must not diminish her food, clothing, or marital rights. If he does not provide these 3 things for her, she shall go free without any payment. Anyone who strikes a person so that they die shall surely be put to death. However, if it is not premeditated, but God allows it to happen, I will appoint a place for him to flee. But if anyone acts with malice, aforethought to kill his neighbor, you shall take him even from my altar to be put to death. Anyone who strikes their father or mother shall surely be put to death. Anyone who kidnaps a person, whether they have sold them or are still in possession, shall surely be put to death. Anyone who curses their father or mother shall surely be put to death. If people quarrel and one strikes the other with a stone or with their fist, and the victim does not die but is confined to bed, if the injured party rises again and walks outside with a staff, then the assailant shall go unpunished. He must only compensate for the loss of time and ensure the victim is fully healed. If someone beats their male or female slave with a rod, and the slave dies at their hand, they must be punished. However, if the slave survives for a day or 2, no vengeance shall be taken, for the slave is their property. If men struggle and strike a pregnant woman so that she gives birth prematurely, but there is no serious injury, the offender shall be fined whatever the woman's husband demands and the judges allow. But if there is serious injury, you shall give life for life, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, a hand for a hand, a foot for a foot, a burn for a burn, a wound for a wound, a bruise for a bruise. If an owner strikes the eye of his male or female slave and destroys it, he must let the slave go free to compensate for the eye. And if he knocks out the tooth of his male or female slave, he must let the slave go free to compensate for the tooth. If an ox gores a man or woman to death, the ox must be stoned, and its meat shall not be eaten, but the owner of the ox shall not be held responsible. If, however, the ox has been known to gore in the past, and its owner has been warned but has not kept it confined, and it kills a man or woman, the ox shall be stoned, and its owner also shall be put to death. If a ransom is demanded, he may redeem his life by paying whatever is demanded. This law applies if the ox gores a son or daughter. If the ox gores a male or female slave, the owner must pay 30 shekels of silver to the master of the slave, and the ox shall be stoned. If someone opens a pit or digs a pit and does not cover it, and an ox or a donkey falls into it, the owner of the pit must make restitution. He shall give money to the owner of the animal, and the dead animal shall become his. If someone's ox injures another's ox so that it dies, they shall sell the live ox and divide the proceeds equally. They shall also divide the dead ox. However, if it was known that the ox had the habit of goring, and its owner did not keep it confined, he must make restitution, ox for ox, and the dead animal shall become his goatesses. If a person steals an ox or a sheep and slaughters it or sells it, they must repay 5 cattle for the ox, and 4 sheep for the sheep. If a thief is caught breaking in and is struck so that they die, there is no guilt of bloodshed on the account of the defender. However, if this occurs after sunrise, there is guilt of bloodshed on the defender's account. A thief must certainly make restitution. If they have nothing, they shall be sold for their theft. If the stolen item is found alive in their possession, whether it be an ox, a donkey, or a sheep, they must repay double. If someone allows their livestock to graze in a field or vineyard, and they stray into another's field, restitution must be made from the best of the offender's own field or vineyard. If a fire breaks out and spreads to thorn bushes, consuming stacked grain, standing grain, or the field itself, the one who started the fire must make restitution. If someone gives their neighbor money or goods for safekeeping, and they are stolen from the neighbor's house, the thief, if caught, must repay double. If the thief is not found, the owner of the house must appear before the judges to determine whether they have laid hands on their neighbor's property. In every case of illegal possession, whether it concerns an ox, a donkey, a sheep, clothing, or any lost property, about which someone says, "This is mine," both parties shall present their cases before the judges. The one whom the judges declare guilty must repay double to the other. If someone gives their neighbor a donkey, an ox, a sheep, or any animal for safekeeping, and it dies, is injured, or is taken away while no one is looking, an oath before the Lord shall be made by both parties that the neighbor did not lay hands on the owner's property. The owner must accept this and no restitution is required. However, if the animal was taken by theft from the neighbor, the owner must be compensated. If it was torn to pieces by a wild animal, the neighbor must bring the remains as evidence and shall not be required to pay for the torn animal. If someone borrows an animal from their neighbor and it is injured or dies while the owner is not present, they must make full restitution. If the owner is with the animal, the borrower will not be required to pay. If the animal was hired, the hire fee covers the loss. If a man seduces a virgin who is not betrothed and sleeps with her, he must pay a dowry for her to become his wife. If her father refuses to give her to him, he must pay an amount equal to the dowry for virgins. Do not permit a sorceress to continue living. Anyone who has sexual relations with an animal shall be put to death. Whoever sacrifices to any god other than the Lord must be utterly destroyed. Do not oppress or mistreat a foreigner, for you were foreigners in the land of Egypt. Do not oppress any widow or orphan. If you do oppress them, and they cry out to me, I will certainly hear their cry. My anger will be kindled, and I will kill you with the sword, and your wives shall become widows, and your children fatherless. If you lend money to my people, to the needy among you, do not act as a creditor, charge no interest. If you take your neighbor's cloak as a pledge, ensure it is returned by sunset, for it is their only covering, the cloak for their body. What else can they sleep in? When they cry out to me, I will listen, for I am compassionate. Do not speak against God or curse the leader of your people. Do not hold back offerings from your granaries or your wine. You must give me the firstborn of your sons. Do likewise with your cattle and your sheep. Let them stay with their mothers for 7 days, but present them to me on the 8th day. You are to be holy people to me. Therefore, do not eat the meat of an animal torn by wild beasts. Throw it to the dogs. Do not spread a false report. Do not join forces with a wicked person to be a malicious witness. Do not follow the multitude in doing wrong, nor should you testify in a lawsuit to pervert justice by siding with the crowd. Do not show partiality to a poor person in their dispute. If you encounter your enemy's ox or donkey wandering away, you must return it to them. If you see the donkey of someone who hates you lying under its burden, do not leave it there. You must help to release it with them. Do not deny justice to your needy people in their lawsuits. Avoid any false accusation, and do not harm the innocent or the righteous, for I will not declare the guilty as innocent. Do not accept a bribe, for a bribe blinds the clear-sighted and corrupts the words of the righteous. Do not oppress a foreigner. You know the heart of a foreigner, for you are foreigners in Egypt. For 6 years you are to sow your land and gather its produce. But in the 7th year let it rest and lie fallow, so that the poor among your people may eat, and what they leave the wild animals may eat. Do the same with your vineyard and your olive grove. 6 days you shall do your work, but on the 7th day you shall cease from labor, so that your ox and donkey may rest, and the son of your maidservant and the foreigner may be refreshed. Be careful to do everything I have told you. Do not mention the names of other gods. Let them not be heard on your lips. 3 times a year you shall hold a festival to me. You shall keep the festival of unleavened bread. For 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread, as I commanded you, at the appointed time in the month of Aviv, for in that month you came out of Egypt. No one is to appear before me empty-handed. Keep the festival of harvest with the first fruits of your labors from what you sow in the field, and the festival of ingathering at the end of the year, when you gather in your crops from the field. 3 times a year all your males shall appear before the sovereign Lord. You shall not offer the blood of my sacrifice with anything containing yeast, nor shall the fat of my festival offerings be left until morning. Bring the best of the first fruits of your soil to the house of the Lord your God. Do not boil a young goat in its mother's milk. Behold, I am sending an angel ahead of you to guard you on the way, and to bring you to the place I have prepared. Be attentive to him and listen to his voice. Do not be rebellious towards him, for he will not pardon your transgressions, since my name is in him. If you truly obey his voice and do all that I say, I will be an enemy to your enemies and oppose those who oppose you. My angel will go before you, and bring you into the land of the Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, Canaanites, Hivites, and Jebusites, and I will destroy them completely. You shall not bow down to their gods or serve them or follow their practices. You must demolish them and break their sacred stones to pieces. Serve the Lord your God, and his blessing will be upon your food and water. I will remove sickness from among you, and none will miscarry or be barren in your land. I will give you a full lifespan. I will send my terror ahead of you and throw into confusion every nation you encounter. I will make all your enemies turn their backs and flee. I will send hornets ahead of you to drive the Hivites, Canaanites, and Hittites out of your way. I will not drive them out before you in a single year, lest the land become desolate and the wild animals too numerous for you. Gradually I will drive them out before you, until you have increased enough to take possession of the land. I will establish your borders from the Red Sea to the Mediterranean Sea, and from the desert to the Euphrates River. I will deliver the inhabitants of the land into your hand, and you will drive them out before you. You must not make agreements with them or with their gods. They must not dwell in your land, or they will cause you to sin against me, for the worship of their gods will surely be a snare to you. Then the Lord instructed Moses, "Ascend to the Lord, you and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, along with 70 of the elders of Israel, and you shall worship from a distance. Moses alone is to approach the Lord. The others must not come near, nor shall the people ascend with him." Moses came and conveyed to the people all the words and ordinances of the Lord, and with one voice they responded, "We will do all the words which the Lord has spoken." Moses recorded all the words of the Lord. Rising early the next morning, He built an altar at the base of the mountain and erected 12 stone pillars representing the 12 tribes of Israel. He then dispatched young men from among the Israelites, who offered burnt offerings and sacrificed bulls as peace offerings to the Lord. Moses took half of the blood and placed it in bowls, while the other half he sprinkled on the altar. He then read the book of the covenant to the people, who responded, "We will do all that the Lord has spoken, and we will obey." Moses took the blood, sprinkled it on the people, and declared, "This is the blood of the covenant, which the Lord has made with you according to all these words." Moses, along with Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, and the 70 elders of Israel, ascended. They beheld the God of Israel, and beneath his feet was something like a pavement of sapphire, as clear as the sky itself. Yet he did not raise his hand against the leaders of the Israelites. They saw God, and they ate and drank. The Lord said to Moses, "Ascend to me on the mountain, and remain there, and I will give you the stone tablets with the law and commandments which I have written for their instruction." Moses set out with Joshua his aide and ascended the mountain of God. To the elders he said, "Wait here for us until we return to you. Aaron and Hur are with you. Anyone with a legal matter may approach them." Moses ascended the mountain, and the cloud enveloped it. The glory of the Lord settled on Mount Sinai, and the cloud covered it for 6 days. On the 7th day, the Lord called to Moses from within the cloud. To the Israelites, the glory of the Lord appeared like a consuming fire atop the mountain. Moses entered the cloud as he ascended the mountain, and he remained on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the Israelites and have them bring me an offering. Accept the offering from everyone whose heart moves them to give. These are the offerings you are to take from them: gold, silver, and bronze, yarn in shades of blue, purple, and scarlet, fine linen and goat hair, ram skins dyed red, fine leather, and acacia wood, oil from olives for the light, aromatic spices for the anointing oil and the fragrant incense, onyx stones and other gems to be set in the ephod and priestpiece. Let them construct a sanctuary for me, so that I may reside among them. Make the tabernacle and all its furnishings exactly like the pattern I will show you. They shall make an ark of acacia wood, 2.5 cubits long, 1.5 cubits wide, and 1.5 cubits high, overlaid with pure gold, inside and out, and make a gold molding around it. Create 4 gold rings for it, and attach them to its 4 feet, with 2 rings on one side and 2 rings on the other. Fashion poles of acacia wood and overlay them with gold. Place the poles into the rings on the sides of the ark to transport it. The poles are to remain in the rings of the ark. They are not to be removed. Then place in the ark the tablets of the covenant law, which I will give you. Craft a cover of pure gold for atonement, 2.5 cubits long and 1.5 cubits wide. Make 2 cherubim of gold. Make them of hammered work at the 2 ends of the cover. Make 1 cherub at one end and the other cherub at the other end. Make the cherubim of one piece with the cover at its 2 ends. The cherubim shall be to have their wings extended upwards, casting a shadow over the cover. They are to face one another with their gaze directed towards the cover. Set the cover on top of the ark and place inside the ark the tablets of the covenant law that I will provide to you. In that place, above the cover and between the 2 cherubim that are positioned over the ark of the covenant law, I will meet with you and impart all my instructions for the Israelites. Construct a table of acacia wood, 2 cubits long, 1 cubit wide, and 1.5 cubits high. Overlay it with pure gold and create a gold border around it. Also make a rim a handbreadth wide around it and put a gold molding on the rim. Create 4 gold rings for the table and secure them to the 4 corners, where the 4 legs are. The rings are to be close to the rim to hold the poles used for carrying the table. Fashion the poles of acacia wood, overlay them with gold, and use them to carry the table. Make its plates, dishes, pitchers, and bowls for pouring out offerings, all of pure gold. Place the bread of the presence on this table to be before me at all times. Create a lampstand of pure gold. The lampstand, its base and its shaft, are to be made of hammered work. Its pillar-like cups, buds, and blossoms shall be of one piece with it. 6 branches are to extend from its sides, 3 on one side and 3 on the other. Each branch is to have 3 cups shaped like almond flowers with buds and blossoms, and this design is to be consistent for all 6 branches extending from the lampstand. The lampstand itself is to have 4 cups, shaped like almond flowers, with buds and blossoms. A bud shall be positioned under the first pair of branches extending from the lampstand, another bud under the second pair, and a third bud under the third pair, making 6 branches in total. The buds and branches shall all be of one piece with the lampstand, crafted from pure gold. Then make its 7 lamps and set them up on it so that they illuminate the area in front of it. Its wick trimmers and trays are to be crafted from pure gold. A full talent of pure gold is to be utilized for the lampstand and all these accessories. See that you make them according to the pattern shown to you on the mountain. Construct the tabernacle with 10 curtains of finely twisted linen and blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, incorporating cherubim crafted by a skilled artisan. Each curtain shall measure 28 cubits in length and 4 cubits in width. All curtains shall be uniform in size. Join 5 curtains together, and likewise join the other 5 curtains together. Create loops of blue material along the edge of the outermost curtain in the first set, and do the same on the edge of the outermost curtain in the second set. Craft 50 loops on one curtain and 50 loops on the edge of the curtain in the second set, ensuring the loops are aligned opposite each other. Make 50 clasps of gold and use them to join the curtains together, so that the tabernacle forms a single unit. Create curtains of goats' hair to serve as a tent over the tabernacle, making 11 curtains in total. Each of these 11 curtains shall be 30 cubits long and 4 cubits wide, maintaining uniform measurements. Join 5 of the curtains into one set, and the remaining 6 into another set, folding the 6th curtain double at the front of the tent. Craft 50 loops on the edge of the outermost curtain in one set, and 50 loops on the edge of the outermost curtain in the other set. Create 50 bronze clasps and insert them into the loops to join the tent together as a single unit. The extra length of the tent curtains, the half curtain that remains, shall hang over the back of the tabernacle. The remaining cubit on each side of the tent curtains shall hang over the sides of the tabernacle to cover it. Make a covering for the tent of rams, skins dyed red, with an additional covering of durable leather above. Construct upright frames for the tabernacle from acacia wood. Each frame shall be 10 cubits in length, and a cubit and a half in width. Each frame shall have 2 projections parallel to each other. Make all the frames of the tabernacle in this manner. Construct 20 frames for the south side of the tabernacle. Create 40 silver bases to go under the frames, 2 bases for each frame, 1 under each projection. For the north side of the tabernacle, construct 20 frames and 40 silver bases, 2 bases under each frame. For the back of the tabernacle, the west side, make 6 frames. Make 2 frames for the corners at the back of the tabernacle. These corner frames shall be double from the base to the top and fitted into a single ring. Both shall be constructed in this manner. There will be 8 frames with their silver bases, 16 bases in total, 2 under each frame. Additionally, make crossbars of acacia wood, 5 for the frames on one side of the tabernacle, 5 for the frames on the opposite side, and 5 for the frames at the back of the tabernacle on the west side. The central crossbar shall extend from end to end in the middle of the frames. Overlay the frames with gold and create gold rings to hold the crossbars. Overlay the crossbars with gold as well. Assemble the tabernacle according to the plan shown to you on the mountain. Create a veil of blue, purple, and scarlet yarn and finely twisted linen, with cherubim woven into it by a skilled craftsman. Hang it with gold hooks on 4 pillars of acacia wood, overlaid with gold, standing on 4 silver bases. Hang the veil from the clasps, and place the Ark of the Covenant law behind the veil. The veil shall serve as a partition between the holy place and the most holy place. Place the atonement cover on the Ark of the Covenant law in the most holy place. Set the table outside the veil on the north side of the tabernacle, and position the lampstand opposite it on the south side. For the entrance to the tent, make a curtain of blue, purple, and scarlet yarn and finely twisted linen, crafted by an embroiderer. Create gold hooks for this curtain and 5 pillars of acacia wood overlaid with gold, casting 5 bronze bases for them. Construct an altar of acacia wood, 5 cubits in length and 5 cubits in width. The altar shall be square, with a height of 3 cubits. Craft horns on its 4 corners, ensuring that the horns are of one piece with the altar, and overlaid with bronze. Fashion all its utensils of bronze, its pots for removing ashes, its shovels, sprinkling bowls, meat forks, and pyopans. Create a grating for it, a bronze network, and make 4 bronze rings at the 4 corners of the network. Place it under the ledge of the altar, so that the network reaches halfway up the altar. Prepare poles of acacia wood for the altar, and cover them with bronze. Insert the poles into the rings, so that they are on the 2 sides of the altar when it is carried. Construct it, hollow with planks. As it was shown to you on the mountain, so it shall be made. Create the courtyard of the tabernacle. The south side shall have hangings of fine twisted linen, 100 cubits long for one side, with 20 pillars and 20 bronze bases, with silver hooks and bands on the pillars. Similarly, the north side shall have hangings 100 cubits long, with 20 pillars and 20 bronze bases, with silver hooks and bands on the pillars. For the west side of the courtyard, there shall be hangings 50 cubits wide, with 10 pillars and 10 bases. The east side of the courtyard shall also be 50 cubits wide. The hangings for one side of the entrance shall be 15 cubits, with 3 pillars and 3 bases. For the other side there shall be hangings of 15 cubits, with 3 pillars and 3 bases. For the entrance to the courtyard, provide a curtain 20 cubits long, made of blue, purple, and scarlet yarn and fine twisted linen, the work of a skilled craftsman, with 4 pillars and 4 bases. All the pillars around the courtyard shall have silver bands and hooks, with bronze bases. The courtyard shall be 100 cubits long and 50 cubits wide, with a height of 5 cubits of fine twisted linen, and with bronze bases. All the articles used in the service of the tabernacle, including all its pegs and all the pegs of the courtyard, shall be made of bronze. Command the Israelites to bring you clear oil of pressed olives for the light, to keep the lamp burning continually. In the tent of meeting, outside the veil that is before the testimony, Aaron and his sons shall keep the lamps burning from evening until morning before the Lord. This shall be a lasting ordinance for the Israelites throughout their generations. Bring your brother Aaron to you, along with his sons Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Itamar, from among the Israelites, so that they may serve as priests to me. Create sacred garments for your brother Aaron, for glory and beauty. Speak to all the skilled artisans whom I have endowed with wisdom, that they are to make Aaron's garments to consecrate him, so he may serve as priest to me. These are the garments they shall make: a priestpiece, an ephod, a robe, a tunic of checkered work, a turban, and a sash. They shall make these holy garments for Aaron and his sons, so they may serve as priests to me. They shall use gold, violet, purple, scarlet yarn, and fine linen. They shall make the ephod of gold, violet, purple, and scarlet yarn, and finely twisted linen, the work of skilled hands. It shall have 2 shoulder pieces attached to its 2 corners, so that it can be fastened. The skillfully woven waistband shall be of the same workmanship, of gold, violet, purple, and scarlet yarn, and finely twisted linen. Select 2 onyx stones, and inscribe them with the names of the sons of Israel. 6 names on one stone, and the remaining 6 on the other, according to their birth order. Engrave the names of the sons of Israel on the 2 stones as a jeweler engraves a seal, and mount them in gold filigree settings. Attach the stones to the shoulder pieces of the ephod, as memorial stones for the sons of Israel. Aaron shall bear their names on his shoulders as a memorial before the Lord. Make gold filigree settings to hold the stones, and 2 braided chains of pure gold, like a rope, and attach these chains to the settings. Fashion a breastpiece for making decisions, the work of skilled hands. Make it like the ephod, of gold, violet, purple, and scarlet yarn, and finely twisted linen. It shall be square, a span long and a span wide, and folded double. Mount 4 rows of precious stones on it. The first row shall be ruby, topaz, and emerald. The second row shall be turquoise, sapphire, and diamond. The third row shall consist of jacinth, agate, and amethyst. And the fourth row shall be beryl, onyx, and jasper. Set them in gold filigree. There shall be 12 stones, 1 for each of the names of the sons of Israel, each engraved like a seal with the name of one of the 12 tribes. For the breastpiece, craft braided chains of pure gold, resembling a rope. Make 2 gold rings for it, and attach them to the 2 corners of the breastpiece. Attach the 2 gold chains to the rings at the corners of the breastpiece, and the other ends of the chains to the 2 settings, fastening them to the shoulder pieces of the ephod at the front. Create 2 gold rings and attach them to the other 2 corners of the breastpiece, on the inside edge next to the ephod. Make 2 more gold rings and attach them to the bottom of the shoulder pieces of the ephod, at the front, close to the seam above the waistband of the ephod. The rings of the breastpiece are to be tied to the rings of the ephod with a violet cord, so that it is on the waistband, and the breastpiece does not swing out from the ephod. Whenever Aaron enters the holy place, he shall bear the names of the sons of Israel on the breastpiece of decision over his heart, as a continual memorial before the Lord. Place the Urim and Thummim in the breastpiece of decision, so they may be over Aaron's heart whenever he enters the presence of the Lord. Thus Aaron shall always bear the means of making decisions for the Israelites over his heart before the Lord. Make the robe of the ephod entirely of violet cloth, with an opening for the head in the center. There shall be a woven edge, like a collar around this opening, so that it will not tear. Make pomegranates of violet, purple, and scarlet yarn around the hem of the robe, with gold bells between them. A golden bell and a pomegranate. A golden bell and a pomegranate, all around the hem of the robe. Aaron must wear it when he ministers, so that the sound of the bells will be heard when he enters, and leaves the holy place before the Lord, so that he will not die. Craft a plate of pure gold, and engrave on it, as on a seal, holy to the Lord. Fasten a violet cord to it to attach it to the turban. It is to be on the front of the turban. It shall be on Aaron's forehead, and Aaron shall bear the guilt involved in the sacred gifts the Israelites consecrate. Whatever their gifts may be, it shall always be on his forehead, so that they may be acceptable before the Lord. Weave the tunic of checkered work of fine linen. Make a turban of fine linen, and a sash, the work of a weaver. Make tunics, sashes, and caps for Aaron's sons, for glory and beauty. After you put these garments on your brother Aaron and his sons, anoint, ordain, and consecrate them, so they may serve as priests to me. Make linen undergarments to cover their nakedness, reaching from the waist to the thighs. Aaron and his sons must wear them whenever they enter the tent of meeting or approach the altar to minister in the holy place, so that they do not incur guilt and die. This shall be a lasting ordinance for Aaron and his descendants. This is what you shall do to consecrate them to serve as priests to me. Take a young bull and 2 rams without blemish. And from the finest wheat flour, make unleavened bread, unleavened cakes mixed with oil, and unleavened wafers spread with oil. Place them in a basket, and present them in the basket, along with the bull and the 2 rams. Then bring Aaron and his sons to the entrance of the tent of a meeting and wash them with water. Take the garments and dress Aaron with the tunic, the robe of the ephod itself, and the priestpiece, and fasten the ephod on him with its skillfully woven band. Set the turban on his head and attach the holy emblem to the turban. Take the anointing oil and apply it on his head to consecrate him. Bring his sons and clothe them in tunics. Wrap sashes around Aaron and his sons, and fit caps on them. The priesthood shall be theirs by a lasting ordinance. Thus you shall ordain Aaron and his sons. Lead the bull to the front of the tent of meeting, and Aaron and his sons shall place their hands on its head. Slaughter the bull before the Lord at the entrance of the tent of meeting. Take some of the bruised blood, and put it on the horns of the altar with your finger, and pour out the rest at the base of the altar. Take all the fat that covers the entrails, the long lobe of the liver, and the 2 kidneys with the fat on them, and burn them on the altar. But burn the bruised flesh, its hide, and its refuse outside the camp. It is a sin offering. Select one of the rams, and Aaron and his sons shall place their hands on its head. Slaughter the ram and take its blood, and sprinkle it around on the altar. Cut the ram into pieces and wash the entrails and legs, putting them with its head and other pieces. Then burn the whole ram on the altar. It is a burnt offering to the Lord, a soothing aroma, an offering by fire to the Lord. Take the other ram, and Aaron and his sons shall place their hands on its head. Slaughter the ram, take some of its blood, and put it on the lobes of Aaron's right ear, and on the lobes of his sons' right ears, on the thumbs of their right hands, and on the big toes of their right feet. Sprinkle the rest of the blood around on the altar. Take some of the blood from the altar and some of the anointing oil, and sprinkle it on Aaron and his garments, and on his sons and their garments. Thus he and his garments shall be consecrated, as well as his sons and their garments. Take from this ram the fat tail, the fat that covers the entrails, the long lobe of the liver, the 2 kidneys with the fat on them, and the right thigh. This is the ram of ordination. From the basket of unleavened bread, take 1 loaf, 1 cake of bread, mixed with oil, and 1 wafer. Put all these in the hands of Aaron and his sons, and wave them as a wave offering before the Lord. Then take them from their hands, and burn them on the altar, on the burnt offering for a soothing aroma before the Lord, an offering by fire to the Lord. Take the breast of Aaron's ram of ordination, and wave it as a wave offering before the Lord. It shall be your portion. Consecrate the breast of the wave offering and the thigh of the contribution which was waved and offered, from the ram of ordination, from the one for Aaron and from the one for his sons. It shall be a perpetual share for Aaron and his sons from the Israelites, for it is a contribution. It shall be a contribution from the Israelites, from the sacrifices of their peace offerings, their contribution to the Lord. Aaron's holy garments shall belong to his descendants after him, so that they may be anointed and ordained in them. The son who succeeds him as priest, and comes to the tent of meeting to minister in the holy place, shall wear them for 7 days. Take the ram of ordination and boil its flesh in a holy place. At the entrance of the tent of meeting, Aaron and his sons shall eat the flesh of the ram and the bread that is in the basket. They shall eat those things by which atonement was made at their ordination and consecration, but no outsider shall eat them, because they are holy. If any of the flesh of ordination or any bread remains until morning, you shall burn the remainder with fire. It shall not be eaten, because it is holy. Carry out for Aaron and his sons everything I have commanded you, taking 7 days to ordain them. Each day offer a bull as a sin offering for atonement, and purify the altar when you make atonement for it, and anoint it to consecrate it. For 7 days make atonement for the altar, and consecrate it. Then the altar shall be most holy, and whatever touches the altar shall be holy. This is what you shall offer on the altar, 2 one-year-old lambs each day, regularly. Offer 1 lamb in the morning, and the other lamb at twilight. With the first lamb offer 1/10 of an ephah of the finest flour mixed with 1/4 of a hin of beaten oil, and 1/4 of a hin of wine as a drink offering. Offer the other lamb at twilight with the same grain offering and the same drink offering as in the morning, for a soothing aroma, an offering by fire to the Lord. It shall be a continual burnt offering throughout your generations at the entrance of the tent of meeting before the Lord, where I will meet with you to speak to you there. I will meet there with the Israelites, and it shall be consecrated by my glory. I will sanctify the tent of meeting and the altar. I will also set apart Aaron and his sons to serve as priests to me. I will reside among the Israelites and be their God. They shall know that I am the Lord their God, who brought them out of the land of Egypt, so that I might dwell among them. I am the Lord their God. Construct an altar from acacia wood as a place for burning incense. It shall be square, measuring a cubit in length, and a cubit in width, and 2 cubits in height. Its horns shall be of one piece with it. Overlay the top, sides, and horns with pure gold, and create a gold border around it. Fashion 2 gold rings beneath the border on opposite sides to hold the poles for carrying it. The poles shall be made of acacia wood and overlaid with gold. Position the altar in front of the veil that is near the Ark of the Covenant, before the atonement cover that is over the ark where I will meet with you. Aaron shall burn aromatic incense on it every morning when he tends the lamps. When Aaron lights the lamps at twilight, he shall burn incense again. This incense shall burn perpetually before the Lord, throughout your generations. Do not offer any foreign incense, burnt offering, grain offering, or pour drink offering on this altar. Aaron shall make atonement on its horns once a year, with the blood of the sin offering of atonement. This shall be a lasting ordinance for generations. It is most holy to the Lord. The Lord then spoke to Moses, saying, When you take a census of the Israelites, each person must give a ransom for his life to the Lord when counted, so that no plague will come upon them during the census. Each person who is counted shall give a half shekel according to the sanctuary shekel, which is 20 gerahs. This half shekel is a contribution to the Lord. Everyone 20 years old or more who is counted shall give this offering to the Lord. The wealthy shall not contribute more, nor the poor less, than the half shekel when giving the offering to the Lord, to make atonement for your lives. Collect the atonement money from the Israelites and allocate it for the service of the tent of a meeting. It will be a memorial for the Israelites before the Lord, making atonement for your lives. The Lord then spoke to Moses, Create a bronze basin with a bronze stand for washing, and place it between the tent of meeting and the altar, and fill it with water. Aaron and his sons shall wash their hands and feet with water from it. Whenever they enter the tent of meeting or approach the altar to minister by offering a food sacrifice to the Lord, they must wash with water so that they will not die. They must wash their hands and feet so that they will not die. This shall be a permanent statute for Aaron and his descendants throughout their generations. Moreover, the Lord spoke to Moses, Take the finest spices, 500 shekels of liquid myrrh, 250 shekels of fragrant cinnamon, 250 shekels of fragrant cane, 500 shekels of cassia, according to the sanctuary shekel, and a hin of olive oil. Make these into a sacred anointing oil, a fragrant blend, the work of a perfumer. It shall be a holy anointing oil. Use it to anoint the tent of meeting, the ark of the covenant, the table and all its utensils, the lampstand and its accessories, and the altar of incense, the altar for burnt offerings with all its utensils, and the basin along with its stand. Consecrate them so that they may be most holy. Whatever touches them will be holy. Anoint Aaron and his sons, consecrating them to serve as priests to me. Speak to the Israelites, saying, This shall be my sacred anointing oil for generations to come. It shall not be poured on anyone else's body, nor shall you make any other oil using the same formula. It is sacred, and you must consider it sacred. Whoever makes a perfume like it or puts it on anyone other than a priest must be cut off from their people. Then the Lord said to Moses, Take fragrant spices, stacked, onycha, galbanum, and pure frankincense, all in equal parts, and make a fragrant blend of incense, a skilled mixture, the work of a perfumer. It is to be salted, pure, and holy. Grind some of it to powder and place it in front of the Ark of the Covenant, in the tent of meeting, where I will meet with you. It shall be most holy to you. Do not create any incense with this formula for personal use. Regard it as holy to the Lord. Anyone who makes incense like it, to enjoy its fragrance, will be separated from their people. The Lord communicated to Moses, See, I have chosen Bezalel son of Uri, the son of Hur, from the tribe of Judah. I have filled him with the Spirit of God, granting him wisdom, understanding, knowledge, and all kinds of craftsmanship, to devise artistic designs for working in gold, silver, and bronze, and for cutting stones for settings, and for carving wood, to engage in all kinds of crafts. Moreover, I have appointed Oholiab, son of Ahisamachi, from the tribe of Dan, to assist him. I have appointed Oholiab endowed all the skilled artisans with ability, so that they may make everything I have instructed you. The tent of meeting, the ark of the covenant law with its atonement cover, and all the furnishings of the tent, the table with its articles, the pure gold lampstand with all its accessories, Hasin's Wachigaling games, Hasin's Botesio Malta Tedebal game joy, and the altar of incense, the altar of burnt offering, with all its utensils, the basin, and its stand, and the woven garments, the sacred garments for Aaron the priest, and the garments for his sons, to serve as priests, as well as the anointing oil and the fragrant incense for the holy place. They are to make them according to all that I have commanded you. The Lord then said to Moses, Speak to the Israelites, saying, You must observe my Sabbaths. This is a sign between me and you for all generations, so that you may know that I am the Lord who makes you holy. Therefore, you must keep the Sabbath, for it is holy to you. Anyone who desecrates it must be put to death. Whoever does any work on that day must be cut off from their people. For 6 days work may be done, but the seventh day is a Sabbath of complete rest, holy to the Lord. Whoever does any work on the Sabbath day must be put to death. The Israelites shall observe the Sabbath, celebrating it throughout their generations as a lasting covenant. It is a sign between me and the Israelites forever, for in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, and on the seventh day he ceased from labor and was refreshed. When the Lord finished speaking with Moses on Mount Sinai, he gave him the 2 tablets of the covenant law, tablets of stone inscribed by the finger of God. When the people saw that Moses was delayed in coming down from the mountain, they gathered around Aaron and said, Come, make us a god who will go before us. As for this Moses, the man who brought us up from the land of Egypt, we do not know what has happened to him. Aaron said to them, Remove the gold earrings that your wives, your sons, and your daughters are wearing, and bring them to me. So all the people removed their gold earrings and brought them to Aaron. He took the gold from their hands and fashioned it with a tool into a cast metal calf. Then they said, This is your God, Israel, who brought you up from the land of Egypt. When Aaron saw this, he built an altar in front of it and proclaimed, Tomorrow shall be a festival to the Lord. So the next day the people rose early, offered burnt offerings, and presented peace offerings. Afterwards, they sat down to eat and drink, and rose up to engage in revelry. Then the Lord said to Moses, Go down at once, for your people whom you brought up from the land of Egypt have become corrupt. They have quickly turned aside from the way I commanded them. They have made themselves a cast metal calf, have bowed down to it, and have sacrificed to it, saying, This is your God, Israel, who brought you up from the land of Egypt. The Lord said to Moses, I have seen this people, and they are indeed a stiff-necked people. Now leave me alone, so that my anger may burn against them, and I may destroy them. Then I will make you into a great nation. But Moses sought the favor of the Lord his God, saying, Lord, why does your anger burn against your people, whom you brought out from the land of Egypt with great power and a mighty hand? Why should the Egyptians say, He brought them out with evil intent, to kill them in the mountains and to wipe them off the face of the earth? Turn from your fierce anger, relent, and do not bring disaster upon your people. Remember your servants Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, to whom you swore by your own self, I will make your descendants as countless as the stars in the sky, and I will give your descendants all this land I promised them, and it will be their inheritance forever. So the Lord relented from the harm he had threatened to do to his people. Moses turned and went down the mountain with the 2 tablets of the testimony in his hands. They were inscribed on both sides, front and back. The tablets were crafted by God. The writing was God's own writing, engraved on the tablets. When Joshua heard the sound of the people shouting, he said to Moses, There is the sound of war in the camp. But Moses replied, "It is not the sound of victory, nor is it the sound of defeat. It is the sound of singing that I hear." As soon as Moses approached the camp and saw the calf and the dancing, his anger burned, and he threw the tablets from his hands, shattering them at the foot of the mountain. He took the calf they had made, burned it with fire, ground it to powder, scattered it on the water, and made the Israelites drink it. Moses said to Aaron, "What did these people do to you, that you have brought such a great sin upon them?" Aaron replied, "Do not let the anger of my Lord burn. You know the people yourself, that they are prone to evil. They said to me, 'Make us a god who will go before us.' As for this Moses, who brought us up from the land of Egypt, we do not know what has happened to him." So I said to them, "Whoever has any gold jewelry, let them take it off." They gave it to me, and I threw it into the fire, and out came this calf. When Moses saw that the people were out of control, for Aaron had let them get out of control to the point of becoming a laughingstock among their enemies, Moses stood at the entrance to the camp and said, "Whoever is for the Lord, come to me." And all the sons of Levi gathered to him. He said to them, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Each man strap a sword to his side. Go back and forth through the camp from one end to the other, each killing his brother, friend, and neighbor." The sons of Levi did as Moses commanded, and that day about 3,000 of the people fell. Then Moses said, "Dedicate yourselves today to the Lord, for you have been against your own sons and brothers, so that he may bestow a blessing upon you today." The following day Moses said to the people, "You have committed a great sin, but now I will go up to the Lord. Perhaps I can make amends for your sin." So Moses returned to the Lord and said, "Oh, what a great sin these people have committed. They have made themselves a god of gold. But now, if you will forgive their sin, please do so. But if not, please blot me out from the book you have written." The Lord replied to Moses, "Whoever has sinned against me, I will remove from my book. Now go, lead the people to the place I told you about. Behold, my angel shall go before you. Nevertheless, on the day when I punish, I will punish them for their sin." Then the Lord struck the people with a plague, because of what they did with the calf Aaron had made. Then the Lord instructed Moses, "Depart from here, you and the people you have brought up from Egypt, and proceed to the land I vowed to give to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, saying, 'I will grant it to your descendants.' I shall send an angel ahead of you, and will expel the Canaanites, Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. Ascend to a land flowing with milk and honey. However, I will not accompany you, for you are a stubborn people, and I might annihilate you on the journey." Upon hearing these unsettling words, the people mourned, and none adorned themselves with jewelry. For the Lord had instructed Moses, "Tell the Israelites, you are a stubborn people. If I were to accompany you for even a moment, I might destroy you. Therefore, remove your jewelry, so that I may determine what to do with you." Thus the Israelites divested themselves of their jewelry from Mount Horeb onwards. Moses would take a tent and pitch it outside the camp at some distance, and he called it the tent of meeting. Anyone seeking the Lord would go out to the tent of meeting, which was outside the camp. Whenever Moses proceeded to the tent, all the people would rise and stand at the entrances of their tents, watching Moses until he entered the tent. As Moses entered the tent, the pillar of cloud would descend and remain at the entrance, and the Lord would converse with Moses. When the people observed the pillar of cloud standing at the tent's entrance, they would all stand and worship, each at the entrance of their tent. The Lord would speak to Moses face to face, as one speaks to a friend. Then Moses would return to the camp, but his young assistant Joshua, son of Nun, would not depart from the tent. Moses said to the Lord, "You have been instructing me, lead these people, but you have not revealed whom you will send with me. You have said, 'I know you by name, and you have found favor with me.' If I have indeed found favor in your sight, teach me your ways, so that I may know you, and continue to find favor with you. Remember that this nation is your people." The Lord responded, "My presence will go with you, and I will grant you rest." Moses replied, "If your presence does not accompany us, do not make us leave this place." For how will it be known that I have found favor in your sight, I and your people, unless you accompany us? What else will distinguish me and your people from all other peoples on the earth? The Lord said to Moses, I will also do this thing you have requested, for you have found favor in my sight, and I know you by name. Moses then said, Please, show your glory to me. And the Lord said, I will cause all my goodness to pass before you, and I will proclaim the name of the Lord before you. I will be gracious, to whom I will be gracious, and will show compassion, to whom I will show compassion. But he said, You are unable to see my face, for no one may see me and live. The Lord continued, There is a place near me, where you may stand on a rock. When my glory passes by, I will place you in a cleft in the rock, and cover you with my hand until I have passed by. Then I will remove my hand, and you shall see my back, but my face must not be seen. The Lord instructed Moses, Carve out 2 stone tablets like the previous ones, and I will inscribe upon them the words that were on the original tablets, which you shattered. Prepare yourself by morning, and ascend Mount Sinai to present yourself to me on the summit of the mountain. Ensure that no one accompanies you or is visible anywhere on the mountain. Even the flocks and herds must not graze in front of the mountain. Thus Moses carved out 2 stone tablets like the former ones, and he rose early in the morning and ascended Mount Sinai, as the Lord had instructed him, carrying the 2 stone tablets in his hands. The Lord descended in a cloud and stood there with him, and he invoked the name of the Lord. The Lord passed before him and proclaimed, the Lord God, compassionate and gracious, slow to anger, and rich in steadfast love and truth, maintaining love to thousands, forgiving iniquity, transgression, and sin. Yet he will not leave the guilty unpunished, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children and grandchildren to the 3rd and 4th generations. Moses immediately bowed to the ground in reverence. He said, If I have found favor in your sight, Lord, please let the Lord accompany us. Although this is a stubborn people, forgive our iniquity and our sin, and claim us as your inheritance. The Lord responded, I am establishing a covenant. Before all your people, I will perform wonders never before done in any nation in all the world. The people you live among will witness the awe-inspiring deeds that I, the Lord, will accomplish with you. Observe what I command you today. I will drive out the Amorites, Canaanites, Hittites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites from before you. Take care not to form a covenant with the inhabitants of the land you are entering, lest it become a snare among you. Instead, you shall demolish their altars, shatter their sacred stones, and cut down their Asherah poles. Do not serve any other god, for the Lord, whose name is jealous, is a God who desires exclusive devotion. Be cautious not to make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, for when they engage in idolatry and sacrifice to their gods, they will invite you and you will partake of their sacrifices. When you take their daughters as wives for your sons, and their daughters prostitute themselves to their gods, they will lead your sons to do the same. Do not create any metal idols. Observe the festival of unleavened bread. For 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread, as I commanded you, at the appointed time in the month of Aviv, for in that month you departed from Egypt. The first offspring of every womb belongs to me, including all the firstborn males of your livestock, whether cattle or sheep. Redeem the firstborn donkey with a lamb, but if you do not redeem it, break its neck. Redeem all your firstborn sons. No one should come before me without an offering. You shall labor for 6 days, but on the 7th day you shall rest. Even during the plowing and harvest seasons you must rest. Celebrate the festival of weeks with the first fruits of the wheat harvest, and the festival of ingathering at the year's end. 3 times a year, all your males must appear before the sovereign Lord, the God of Israel. I will drive out nations before you and expand your borders, and no one will covet your land when you go up 3 times a year to appear before the Lord your God. Do not offer the blood of my sacrifice with anything leavened, nor should the sacrifice of the Passover festival be left until morning. Bring the best of the firstfruits of your soil to the house of the Lord your God. Do not boil a young goat in its mother's milk. The Lord said to Moses, Write down these words, For in accordance with these words, I have made a covenant with you and with Israel. Moses remained there with the Lord for 40 days and 40 nights, without eating bread or drinking water. He inscribed on the tablets the words of the covenant, the 10 Commandments. When Moses descended from Mount Sinai, with the 2 tablets of the covenant law in his hands, he was unaware that his face was radiant because he had spoken with the Lord. When Aaron and all the Israelites saw Moses, his face was radiant, and they were afraid to approach him. Moses called to them, and Aaron and all the leaders of the community returned to him, and he spoke to them. Afterwards, all the Israelites came near, and he relayed to them all the commands the Lord had given him on Mount Sinai. After Moses finished speaking with them, he placed a veil over his face. Whenever Moses entered the Lord's presence to speak with him, he removed the veil until he came out. When he came out and conveyed the commands to the Israelites, they observed that his face was radiant. Then Moses would replace the veil over his face until he went in to speak with the Lord. Moses gathered together all the assembly of the Israelites and said to them, "These are the instructions the Lord has given you to follow. For 6 days, work shall be done, but the 7th day shall be a holy day for you, a Sabbath of complete rest to the Lord. Whoever does any work on it shall be put to death. You must not light a fire in any of your homes on the Sabbath day." Moses addressed the entire assembly of the Israelites, saying, "This is what the Lord has commanded. Take from what you have a contribution for the Lord. Everyone who is willing is to bring to the Lord a contribution of gold, silver, and bronze, violet, purple, and scarlet yarn, and fine linen, goat's hair, ram skins dyed red, and another type of fine leather, acacia wood, oil for the lamps, spices for the anointing oil, and for the aromatic incense, sohavere and onyx stones, and other gems to be set in the ephod and breastpiece. All who possess skills among you are invited to come and make everything the Lord has commanded. The tabernacle with its tent and its covering, its hooks, frames, crossbars, posts, and bases, the ark with its poles, the atonement cover, and the curtain that shields it, the table with its poles and all its utensils, along with the bread that is set before the Lord. 자율송이란 the lampstand for the light, with its accessories, lamps, and oil for the light, the altar of incense with its poles, the anointing oil, and the aromatic incense, the curtain for the doorway at the entrance to the tabernacle, the altar of burnt offering with its bronze grating, its poles, and all its utensils, the basin with its stand, the courtyard drapes with its posts and bases, and the curtain for the entrance to the courtyard. So the tent pegs for the tabernacle, vegingo all the torotung for the courtyard, and their cords, the woven garments worn for ministering in the sanctuary, the sacred garments for Aaron the priest, and the garments for his sons when they serve as priests. Then all the assembly of the Israelites departed from Moses' presence, and everyone whose heart was stirred and whose spirit was willing came and brought the raw to contribution for the work on the tent of meeting, for all its service, and for the sacred garments. All who were willing, both men and women, came and brought gold jewelry of all kinds, brooches, earrings, rings, and ornaments. They all presented their gold as a wave offering to the Lord. Everyone who had violet, purple, or scarlet yarn, or fine linen, or goat's hair, ram skins dyed red, or fine leather brought them. Everyone who could make a contribution of silver or bronze brought it as an offering to the Lord, and everyone who had acacia wood for any part of the work brought it. Every skilled woman spun with her hands, and brought what she had spun, violet, purple, or scarlet yarn, and fine linen. And all the women whose hearts were stirred with skill spun the goats' hair. The leaders brought onyx stones and other gems to be set in the ephod and breastpiece, and the spices and oil for the lamps, for the anointing oil, and for the aromatic incense. All the Israelite men and women whose hearts were willing brought to the Lord voluntary offerings for all the work the Lord through Moses had commanded them to do. Then Moses said to the Israelites, See, the Lord has called by name Bezalel son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah. And he has filled him with the Spirit of God, with wisdom, understanding, knowledge, and all kinds of craftsmanship, to create artistic designs for working in gold, silver, and bronze, to cut and set stones, to work in wood, and to engage in all sorts of artistic crafts. He has also granted both him and Oholiab, son of Ahisamachi, of the tribe of Dan, the ability to instruct others. He has filled them with skill to perform all kinds of work as engravers, designers, embroiderers in violet, purple, and scarlet yarn, and fine linen, and weavers, all of them skilled workers and designers. Bezalel, Oholiab, and every skilled individual to whom the Lord has imparted wisdom and understanding to execute all the work for constructing the sanctuary, shall carry out the work in accordance with all that the Lord has commanded. Moses then called Bezalel, Oholiab, and every skilled person to whom the Lord had given ability, everyone whose heart was moved, to come forward and engage in the work. They received from Moses all the contributions the Israelites had brought for the work on the sanctuary. And the people continued to bring freewill offerings every morning. All the skilled workers engaged in the work of the sanctuary left their tasks and reported to Moses, "The people are bringing far more than is needed for the work the Lord has commanded us to do." So Moses issued a command and sent a proclamation throughout the camp. No man or woman is to make any further offerings for the sanctuary. Thus, the people were restrained from bringing more. For the materials they had were sufficient, and even more than enough to complete all the work. All the skilled artisans among the workers made the tabernacle with 10 curtains of finely twisted linen and blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, with cherubim woven into them by a skilled craftsman. Each curtain was 28 cubits long and 4 cubits wide. All the curtains were of the same size. They joined 5 of the curtains together, and the other 5 were similarly joined. They made loops of blue material along the edge of the end curtain in one set, and the same was done with the end curtain in the other set. 50 loops were made on one curtain, and 50 on the edge of the curtain in the other set, with the loops aligned opposite each other. They also made 50 gold clasps, and used them to join the 2 sets of curtains, so that the tabernacle formed a single unit. They made curtains of a goat hair for the tent over the tabernacle, 11 in total. Each of the 11 curtains was 30 cubits long and 4 cubits wide, all of them having the same dimensions. They joined 5 of the curtains into one set, and the remaining 6 into another set. They made 50 loops along the edge of the end curtain in one set, and 50 loops along the edge of the end curtain in the other set. 50 bronze clasps were made to join the tent together as a single unit. They made a covering for the tent of ram skins dyed red, and over that a covering of another durable leather. They constructed upright frames of acacia wood for the tabernacle. Each frame measured 10 cubits in length, and a cubit and a half in width, with 2 tenons parallel to each other. All the frames of the tabernacle were made in this manner. They crafted 20 frames for the southern side of the tabernacle, and 40 silver bases to support them, 2 bases for each frame, 1 under each tenon. For the northern side of the tabernacle, they crafted 20 frames and 40 silver bases to support them, with 2 bases beneath each frame. They made 6 frames for the west end of the tabernacle, and 2 frames were constructed for the corners of the tabernacle at the far end. These frames were double from the bottom to the top, and fitted into a single ring. Both were made alike. Thus, there were 8 frames and 16 silver bases, 2 under each frame. They also fashioned crossbars of acacia wood, 5 for the frames on one side of the tabernacle, 5 for those on the other side, and 5 for the frames at the west end of the tabernacle. The center crossbar was made to extend from end to end at the middle of the frames. They overlaid the frames with gold and made gold rings to hold the crossbars, which were also overlaid with gold. They crafted the veil of blue, purple, and scarlet yarn and finely twisted linen, with cherubim woven into it by a skilled craftsman. 4 posts of acacia wood were made for it, overlaid with gold hooks, and 4 silver bases were cast for them. For the entrance to the tent, they made a curtain of blue, purple and scarlet yarn and finely twisted linen, the work of an embroiderer. And they made 5 posts with hooks for it. The tops of the posts and their bands were overlaid with gold, and their 5 bases were made of bronze. Bezalel constructed the ark from acacia wood. Its length was 2.5 cubits, its width 1.5 cubits, and its height 1.5 cubits. He overlaid it with pure gold, both inside and outside, and made a gold molding all around it. He cast 4 gold rings for it, and attached them to its 4 feet, 2 rings on one side, and 2 rings on the other side. He fashioned the poles of acacia wood, and overlaid them with gold. He inserted the poles into the rings on the sides of the ark to carry it. He also made the atonement cover of pure gold, measuring 2.5 cubits long and 1.5 cubits wide. He crafted 2 cherubim of hammered gold at the 2 ends of the atonement cover. One cherub was positioned at one end, and the other cherub at the opposite end. He made the cherubim of one piece with the atonement cover at the 2 ends. The cherubim had their wings spread upwards, overshadowing the atonement cover with them. They faced each other, looking towards the cover. He made a table of acacia wood, 2 cubits long, 1 cubit wide, and 1.5 cubits high. He overlaid it with pure gold and fashioned a gold molding all around it. He also made a rim for it, a handbreadth wide, and put a gold molding on the rim all around. He cast 4 gold rings for the table and fastened them to the 4 corners where the legs were. The rings were positioned close to the rim to hold the poles for carrying the table. He crafted the poles from acacia wood, overlaying them with gold for the purpose of carrying the table. He crafted from pure gold the utensils for the table, its plates, dishes, bowls, and pitchers for pouring out drink offerings. He made the lampstand of pure gold, hammering out its base and shaft, with its flower-like cups, buds, and blossoms, all of one piece with it. 6 branches extended from its sides, 3 branches on one side and 3 on the other. Each branch had 3 cups, shaped like almond flowers with buds and blossoms, and this pattern was consistent for all 6 branches extending from the lampstand. The lampstand itself featured 4 cups shaped like almond flowers with buds and blossoms. A bud was under the first pair of branches extending from the lampstand, a second bud under the second pair, and a third bud under the third pair, 6 branches in total. The buds and branches were all of one piece with the lampstand, a single hammered work of pure gold. He made its 7 lamps, as well as its wick trimmers and trays, of pure gold. He made the lampstand and all its accessories from a single talent of pure gold. He constructed the altar of incense from acacia wood, a cubit long and a cubit wide, square, and 2 cubits high. Its horns were of one piece with it. He overlaid the top, its sides all around, and its horns with pure gold, and made a gold molding for it all around. He made 2 gold rings below the molding on opposite sides to hold the poles used for carrying it. He fashioned the poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with gold. He also made the sacred anointing oil and the pure fragrant incense, the work of a perfumer. The altar of burnt offering was constructed from acacia wood, measuring 5 cubits in length, 5 cubits in width, and 3 cubits in height, forming a square. Horns were crafted on each of its 4 corners, all of one piece with the altar, and it was overlaid with bronze. All the utensils for the altar were made of bronze, including the pots, shovels, basins, meat forks, and fire pans. A grating of bronze network was made for the altar, positioned beneath its ledge, reaching halfway up the altar. 4 rings were cast at the 4 corners of the bronze grating to hold the poles. The poles were made of acacia wood and overlaid with bronze. The poles were inserted into the rings on the sides of the altar for carrying it. The altar was made hollow, constructed with boards. The bronze basin and its stand were crafted from the mirrors of the women who served at the entrance to the tent of meeting. The courtyard was then made. The south side featured hangings of finely twisted linen, 100 cubits in length. This side had 20 pillars with 20 bronze bases, and silver hooks and bands on the pillars. The north side was also 100 cubits long, with 20 pillars and 20 bronze bases, and silver hooks and bands on the pillars. The west side had hangings 50 cubits wide, with 10 pillars and 10 bases, with silver hooks and bands on the pillars. The east side, facing the sunrise, was 50 cubits wide. On one side of the entrance, the hangings were 15 cubits long, with 3 pillars and 3 bases. Similarly, on the other side of the entrance, there were hangings 15 cubits long, with 3 pillars and 3 bases. All the hangings around the courtyard were of finely twisted linen. The bases for the pillars were bronze, while the hooks and bands on the pillars were silver, and their tops were overlaid with silver. Thus all the pillars of the courtyard had silver bands. The curtain for the entrance to the courtyard was crafted by a weaver, using blue, purple, and scarlet yarn and finely twisted linen. It measured 20 cubits in length and 5 cubits in height, matching the hangings of the courtyard. It had 4 pillars and 4 bronze bases. Their hooks and bands were silver, and their tops were overlaid with silver. All the pegs of the tabernacle and the surrounding courtyard were made of bronze. These are the quantities of materials used for the tabernacle of the testimony, as recorded by the Levites under the command of Moses, directed by Itamar, son of Aaron the priest. Bezalel, son of Uri, son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, executed all that the Lord commanded Moses. With him was Oholiab, son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan, an engraver, designer, and skilled embroiderer, in blue, purple, and scarlet yarn and fine linen. The total amount of gold from the wave offering used for all the work on the sanctuary was 29 talents and 730 shekels, according to the sanctuary shekel. The silver collected from the community census amounted to 100 talents and 775 shekels, according to the sanctuary shekel. This was a beka per person, that is, half a shekel, according to the sanctuary shekel, from each man aged 20 years or older, totaling 550 men. The 100 talents of silver were used to cast the bases for the sanctuary and the curtain, 100 bases from the 100 talents, 1 talent per base. The 775 shekels were used to make hooks for the pillars, to overlay their tops, and to make bands for them. The bronze from the wave offering amounted to 70 talents and 400 shekels. This bronze was used to make the bases for the entrance to the tent of meeting, the bronze altar with its bronze grating, and all its utensils. It was also used for the bases of the surrounding courtyard and its entrance, and for all the pegs of the tabernacle and the surrounding courtyard. From the violet, purple, and scarlet yarn, they crafted finely woven garments for ministering in the sanctuary, along with the sacred garments for Aaron, as the Lord instructed Moses. The ephod was made of gold and of violet, purple, and scarlet yarn, and finely twisted linen. They hammered out gold sheets and cut them into threads, to be woven into the violet, purple, and scarlet yarn, and the fine linen, the work of skilled hands. They fashioned shoulder pieces for the ephod, which were attached at its 2 upper corners. The skillfully woven waistband of the ephod was of the same workmanship and materials, gold, violet, purple, and scarlet yarn, and finely twisted linen, as the Lord commanded Moses. They set the onyx stones in gold filigree settings, engraving them like a seal with the names of the sons of Israel. These were placed on the shoulder pieces of the ephod, as memorial stones for the sons of Israel, as the Lord commanded Moses. The priestpiece was crafted by a skilled embroiderer, like the ephod, of gold, and of violet, purple, and scarlet yarn, and finely twisted linen. It was square and folded double, a span in length and width. They mounted 4 rows of precious stones on it. The first row was ruby, topaz, and emerald. The second row was turquoise, sapphire, and a clear gem. The third row was jacinth, agate, and a purple stone. The fourth row was beryl, onyx, in jasper. These were set in gold filigree settings. There were 12 stones, each engraved like a seal with the name of one of the 12 tribes of Israel. For the priestpiece, they fashioned chains of pure gold, twisted like cords. They crafted 2 gold filigree settings and 2 gold rings, and fastened the rings to the two corners of the priestpiece. The two gold chains were attached to the rings at the corners of the priestpiece. The other ends of the chains were fastened to the two settings, attaching them to the shoulder pieces of the ephod at the front. They made two gold rings and attached them to the other two corners of the priestpiece, on the inner edge, next to the ephod. They also made two more gold rings and attached them to the bottom of the shoulder pieces of the ephod, at the front, near the seam above the waistband. The rings of the priestpiece were tied to the rings of the ephod with a violet cord, so that the priestpiece would remain attached to the waistband and not swing out, as the Lord commanded Moses. The robe of the ephod was made entirely of violet cloth, the work of a weaver. It had an opening in the center, like the opening of a coat of mail, with a binding around the opening to prevent tearing. They made pomegranates of violet, purple, and scarlet yarn, and finely twisted linen around the hem of the robe. Pure gold bells were made and placed between the pomegranates around the hem. The bells and pomegranates alternated around the hem of the robe for ministering, as the Lord commanded Moses. Tunics of finely woven linen were made for Aaron and his sons. They also made the turban of fine linen, the decorated caps, and the undergarments of finely twisted linen. The sash was crafted from finely twisted linen and violet, purple, and scarlet yarn, the work of an embroiderer, as the Lord commanded Moses. They made the plate, the sacred emblem, of pure gold, and engraved on it, like an inscription on a seal, "Holy to the Lord." A violet cord was attached to it, to fasten it to the turban, as the Lord commanded Moses. Thus, all the work on the tabernacle, the tent of meeting, was completed. The Israelites did everything as the Lord commanded Moses. They brought the tabernacle to Moses, the tent and all its furnishings, its clasps, frames, crossbars, posts, and bases. The covering of ram skins dyed red, the covering of fine leather, and the shielding curtain. The Ark of the Covenant with its poles and the atonement cover. Bathe the table with all its implements and the bread of the presence. The pure gold lampstand with its lamps in a row and all its accessories, and the olive oil for the light. The golden altar, the anointing oil, the fragrant incense, and the curtain for the entrance to the tent. The bronze altar, with its bronze grating, its poles and all its implements. The basin, with its stand. The curtains of the courtyard with its posts and bases, and the curtain for the entrance to the courtyard. The ropes and tent pegs for the courtyard, all the equipment for the service of the tabernacle, the tent of meeting, and the woven garments used for ministering in the sanctuary, both the sacred garments for Aaron the priest, and the garments for his sons when serving as priests. The Israelites completed all the tasks, precisely as the Lord had instructed Moses. Moses reviewed the work and saw that they had done it just as the Lord had commanded. So Moses blessed them. Then the Lord spoke to Moses. On the first day of the first month, you shall set up the tabernacle, the tent of a meeting. You shall place the ark of the covenant within it, and shield the ark with the veil. Bring in the table and arrange its items. Then bring in the lampstand and set up its lamps. Place the gold altar of incense in front of the ark of the covenant, and hang the curtain at the entrance to the tabernacle. Position the altar of burnt offering before the entrance to the tabernacle, the tent of meeting. Set the basin between the tent of meeting and the altar, and fill it with water. Set up the courtyard around it, and hang the curtain at the gate of the courtyard. Take the anointing oil and anoint the tabernacle and everything within it. Consecrate it and all its furnishings, and it shall be holy. Anoint the altar of burnt offering and all its utensils. Consecrate the altar, and it shall be most holy. Anoint the basin and its stand, dedicating them. Bring Aaron and his sons to the entrance of the tent of meeting, and cleanse them with water. Dress Aaron in the sacred garments, anoint him, and consecrate him, so that he may serve as a priest to me. Present his sons and clothe them in tunics. Anoint them as you anointed their father, so they may serve as priests to me. Their anointing shall be for a perpetual priesthood throughout their generations. Moses carried out all the tasks exactly as the Lord had instructed him. In the first month of the second year, on the first day, the tabernacle was set up. Moses set up the tabernacle, laid its bases, erected its frames, inserted its crossbars, and set up its posts. He spread the tent over the tabernacle and put the covering over the tent, as the Lord had commanded him. He took the tablets of the covenant law and placed them in the ark, attached the poles to the ark, and covered it with the atonement cover. He brought the ark into the tabernacle, hung the shielding curtain, and screened off the ark of the covenant, as the Lord had commanded him. He placed the table in the tent of meeting on the north side of the tabernacle, outside the veil. He set the bread in order upon it before the Lord, as the Lord had commanded him. He positioned the lampstand in the tent of meeting opposite the table on the south side of the tabernacle. He set up the lamps before the Lord, as the Lord had commanded him. He placed a gold altar in the tent of meeting, in front of the veil. He burned fragrant incense on it, as the Lord had commanded him. He hung the curtain at the entrance to the tabernacle. He set the altar of burnt offering near the entrance to the tabernacle, the tent of meeting, and offered burnt offerings and grain offerings on it, as the Lord had commanded him. He placed the basin between the tent of meeting and the altar, and filled it with water for washing. Moses, Aaron, and his sons used it to wash their hands and feet. They washed whenever they entered the tent of meeting or approached the altar, as the Lord had commanded Moses. Then Moses set up the courtyard around the tabernacle and altar, and hung the curtain at the entrance to the courtyard. Thus Moses completed the work. Then the cloud enveloped the tent of meeting, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. Moses was unable to enter the tent of meeting because the cloud had settled upon it, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. Throughout all their journeys, whenever the cloud lifted from above the tabernacle, the Israelites would set out. But if the cloud did not lift, they did not set out until the day it lifted. For the cloud of the Lord was over the tabernacle by day, and fire was in the cloud by night, in the sight of all the house of Israel, throughout all their journeys.